arising question that you want to ask, just, unmute yourself and ask away, or you can alternatively write in the chat box. And again, if you think my delivery and my explanation is a bit too fast, let me know so I can pace down and repeat my explanation, yeah. So you know me kan, cakap ni macam bullet train je, cakap laju je. So yeah, alright. So you should see on the screen. Have you guys managed to have a look at the module? Sempat tengok tak module? The English module.
Yes, teacher.
Okay, great. So basically you have a look at the content. There are parts in the module that I need you to fill in. If you manage to print them out, it's good. If you don't, you can look at the slides and then probably jot down a few things or two that probably would be useful for your revision. Yeah. Okay, so I should put up the screen. On the screen is a slide. Should be okay. Can you see the slide?
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
Great.
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so let's start. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Right, so we are going to focus on the writing paper, but if you think you have question on reading and use of English, speaking as well as listening, just go ahead and ask away. Right, so precisely we are going to focus on part 2 and part 3 of written tasks, which means we're not going to go into much deeper into the email writing part, because I think all of you are quite pro at it. You have been answering emails since you were in Form 1, so I think we're not going to have much problems in that. However, for part 2 and part 3, there are quite things that we have to look into it, especially the written criteria assessment, CAONL, okay, content, communicative achievement, organization, as well as language. Now, if you see on the screen right now, these are basically the timeline that I aim to follow, but you know me, plan saja tapi tak follow. So this is the plan. We're going to look at until now, it's until 9:30, the tip and tricks for part 2 as well as part 3. And then we're going to look at into assessment bands. And I think as the SPM candidates of 2021, both candidates and teachers, you have to be aware of how the bands, what the band means, okay, the phrases in the bands, okay, and then how can you translate those bands into your own understanding in terms of writing. So I think it's not just teacher's job to understand those terms, your job as well, because we expect you to be able to kind of like reflect your ability to write well in the written task, yeah. And then we are going to open for Q&A session. All right. So basically, just the gist of it, PT3 versus SPM, I think not much different, because you already experienced some parts of the written tasks previously in Form 3, and when you're in Form 5, unfortunately, not much different. But however, you have to expect one added extra question in written part, and there are also a few differences in terms of speaking paper. Okay, but speaking paper is not our focus for tonight, so I will just briefly go into that if we have time. And of course, when you have a task requirement would be a bit higher, because now you are previously in PT3 you should be at B1 level for CFR. B1 means your word choice should be a bit higher than when you were in Form 1 or Form 2. So now that you are Form 5, you have 2 years up, okay, beyond PT3. So we expect you to be able to, when you write and when you speak, right? So you should be able to provide words that are a bit higher than the previous one in PT3. So for example, if you say, coffee is, I like coffee, for example. So I like coffee is something that is like UPSR level. Okay, the word like there is quite low in terms of lexis. Okay, so you should be able to say that my preference is coffee. So the preference is noun. We expect you to be able to, to use that word instead of like, for example. So that is what we meant by B1 versus B1, B2 versus A2, A1. Okay, right. So of course, when you this one lah, okay, B1, B2. Actually, B2 sebenarnya untuk SPM is B2, but Form 4 is B1. Yeah. C1 is mostly adult learners, but we have to admit that some of you are already at C1. Ada yang, since you quite very good in speaking and written and listening as well, so you probably have reached C1 as well. Okay, so when you have extra questions and extra word limit, of course, we are going to add up a bit more time for your writing assessment. So we are going to put a bit more answering time for you guys. Okay, so this is what I just mentioned just now. So you're supposed to be here in comparison to Form 3. Okay, so Form 5, this one B2. Now, are you all ready for this? I think you are all aware of what B2 means, B1 means, right? Yeah?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, great. So I don't have to explain on that. So be sure to use B2 words in your essays and when you do speaking assessment. Okay, right. So basically B2 is here lah. Okay, this is what I meant to say that. Sekejap, teacher buat highlighter. Okay, so we're supposed to independent user, right? So this is your target. Now, some of you don't like reading and use of English paper in part 1, in part 3, where you have one whole lengthy text, like satu page tu penuh dengan text kan. You feel like, there are too many words, teacher, so I don't like it. So actually, that is the typical B2 assessment for reading and use of English. Why? Because we are going to test your main idea of complex text and technical discussions in one field of specialization. What does it mean is, okay, so teacher nak highlight terus. Alang-alang ni teacher buka yang ni. So what I mean by one field of specialization is that in speaking paper, okay, in speaking paper, oh my god, my tulisan. Sorry, my stylus pen is downstairs, so I'm using my fingers now. So speaking paper, you have this extended discussion tasks, isn't it? So that is where you are expected to be able to give a critical answers in terms of a special field of information. For example, probably vaccination or technology, advertising, for example. Economy. So those are quite high and critical levels. So make sure you read letters, general knowledge. You read, at least you view your Facebook newsfeed ke, ataupun you go on IG scroll kan, you baca sikit-sikit lah, at least you have a gist of it, so that when exam comes, you know what you have to, give answers. Okay, right. So interact with degree of fluency and spontaneity that makes regular interaction with native speakers possible without strain. So this is more into spoken utterances, which means that for you to get B2, which is band 5 for spoken, okay, band 5 ke atas, kita ada sampai band 6 ya. So for you to get band 5, you should be able to speak without pausing. So if I say like this, well, in my point of view, I think technology, the when you are searching for words, that's not yet band 5. Okay, you are going to fall down into band 4 and below, depending on your grammar, vocabulary, as well as communicative achievement. Okay, so same with written tasks. Okay, spontaneity here refers to CA, communicative achievement. So you shouldn't be writing like you are memorizing an essay. So jangan hafal essay. It's a bit no-no for CA. Okay, but you can always refer to sample essays, of course. Okay, you can always read good ones. But to hafal the exactly as it is, the structure is not advisable lah. Okay, kenapa nanti kita tengok, right? Okay. Okay, so this is basically the the one that you are going to sit for mid-year. Do you know when is your exam mid-year? Tahu tak lagi? Have you heard the news? Not yet. Okay,
Yes,
so
teacher.
after Raya Haji is we have one more week for PDPR, right? So and then will be Raya Haji Eid al-Adha break. And then after that, you are all going to go to school, isn't it? So you're supposed to get vaccinated, in this duration. So if there's no, hindrance, all of us Form 5 students 2021 are going to sit for mid-year in early August. So although we are focusing on writing today, I'm a bit worried actually about your spoken paper as well as listening, because the weightage is 25% for all parts. So the TOV previously you only answered 2 papers, 50%. So probably you felt confident that you score quite high on written paper. Somehow you might get carried away for the mid-year. So I don't want that to happen. So please pay extra attention to your spoken paper as well as listening paper. So if you have time tonight, I might want to show you the one that I did with my students. So the calculation. So I think you might have a better idea what the score means if you score like this untuk paper reading and use of English and written. Tapi kalau you score macam ni untuk speaking and listening, berapa markah you dapat? So those bit of calculation. Nanti kita tengok kalau ada masa, insyaAllah. Right, so let's go, let's dive in. Okay, so this is what I meant by 4 skills. So now untuk mid-year, bulan 8 nanti, all of you are going to sit for 4 papers. Okay, so listening will be centralized. Okay, will be centralized. So it will be in the timetable. Maksudnya dia sekali dengan reading and writing lah. Okay, however, speaking, I think since it's involved, partner up. Okay, by the way, by now, this is July, right? This is second week of July. Please make sure that you already got a partner for your real SPM speaking paper. Okay, so speaking is next year. Yang betulnya, yang SPM 2022, right? February, sorry. January is lisan mendengar, and then coming up is speaking. So by now, teachers, if you're watching this, you should already figure out your students pairing. Okay, so I believe that pairing should be done with the negotiation of students and teachers. So kalau teachers letak awak dengan partner yang you tak ngam, there might come problems, after that. So kalau boleh, you decide that it should be a mutual understanding between both parties, so that nanti you boleh, you selesa with your friends, and then the test will be, will be scheduled just smoothly. Yeah. So kalau tak ada, you boleh bincang later. Sebagai preparation untuk mid-year. Mid-year bulan 8 tak lama dah. So you better get the pairing done. Alright, so let's focus on writing paper. Now, I know that some of you aware that there are 3 parts, part 1, part 2, and part 3. However, you have to also know the name of each part. So we have shorter writing tasks for email. Secondly, we have guided writing. So why it is called guided? So there are reasons to it. And then there's number 3, there's extended writing task. So extended writing task, there are 3 choices. Okay, article versus review, report, and story. So if the article comes out, review won't come out. So if review comes out, it's vice versa. Okay, but to be on the safe side, I really recommend you to have plan B. If you like to write a review, make sure that you have plan B, either report or story. Okay, so you have to kind of like be prepared in case the question that comes out for review doesn't really go into your cup of tea. Yeah, so tiba-tiba awak baca pasal movie review, but suddenly they ask for book review and you're not prepared. So yeah, okay, so you have to have plan B as well. Okay, so master the requirements of each part, I believe. Okay, so we're going to look at into that. Now let's go to writing. I think this one you already know. Okay, so just like I mentioned, report and story. So article versus review. And from the questionnaire, a lot of you think that report is the hardest. Okay, you guys voted report as the hardest. Okay, I think it's quite understandable why. And then we're going to go through that later after we have covered part 2. Okay, part 2 is the main thing that we have to focus tonight. Okay, there's azan here, but it's okay lah, kita teruskan saja. Okay, so a lot of you have voted as well. The 2 most trickiest to score for the written assessment bands are number 1 is language, and number 2 is communicative achievement. And the rest, these 2 are quite the easiest, you think, especially content. So ni number 4, ni number 3. So kalau ikut ranking, number 1 is language, paling susah nak score. Second is CA, content and organization and content. So jadi teacher nak fokus pada, so tonight let's go straight to what you think, let's go straight to the problem lah. So let's focus on language as well as communicative achievement. Dua ni ya, kita tengok pada dua ni yang penting. Right, so why those tools, language and CA, are the most difficult? This is the reason. Okay, why they are most difficult. Actually, not just you tau yang rasa susah, cikgu pun rasa susah. Because it's hard for us to teach because it's a bit ambiguous in a sense that CA tu dia macam mana nak cover CA, something like that. So it's quite ambiguous and it's something new that the previous format didn't have. So we are like trying to adapt. Okay, but actually CA is not that difficult as well. So if you understand the concept of CA, inshallah you are going to be able to answer just as fluently as possible in written and spoken task. Okay, Now, the reason kenapa, why CA and L are difficult than content. Okay, the reasons like this. Okay, if you look at the slide right here, there are two subcategory for the written assessment paper, paper 2. Number 1 is task completion and number 2 is linguistic competence. So task completion is content. So dia seorang-seorang dia je content. So maksudnya dia tak memerlukan kemahiran tata bahasa yang tinggi. Okay, for that part. So that's why most of you, although budak kelas belakang pun, although from back school, rural school for example, they can score C. However, for L, CA and O probably a little bit limited. Nampak? Okay, that's why. Sebab content ni tidak memerlukan kemahiran tata bahasa yang tinggi. So if you don't know grammar so much pun tak pro grammar pun you can still get marks as long as you menjawab task fulfillment, task requirement dalam soalan. Okay, nampak Itu syarat dia. So kalau boleh, that's why the point that I want to make here is that for you guys, for ICAM students, SPM candidates 2021, make sure that you do not lose marks for content. Sayang markah untuk content sebab memang awak boleh. Nampak? Jangan hilang markah dekat content. Jangan cuai and jangan over ambitious untuk menjawab soalan yang tidak kena dengan task requirement. Because you have a lot of ideas, right? So sometimes you want to put in a lot of info. But be careful, okay? Right, sebab dia ada basic sikit tau, PT3 and SPM. So you have to be able to answer what the question wants. Yeah. Now, back to linguistic competence. Okay, this is where a lot of us have troubles in scoring, especially CA and L. This is because they are under linguistic competence, so which means dia berjangkit-jangkit. Okay, it's like interrelated. So if language means grammar lah. Okay, so language means grammar. So if your grammar knowledge is a bit poor, it will affect your CA and alternatively it will affect O as well, C juga. Dia boleh jangkit ke C. Nampak tak? So language is a bit a wow factor for an essay. If you think you have a poor grammar, it will affect CA fluency and therefore bila affect CA, dia jadi dok faham lah. Bila dia dok faham tu, maksudnya okay, so it means that content pun communicative achievement tak deliver dah. Bila tak deliver, dia jadi ganggu accuracy and fluency dan dua-dua tu akan ganggu task assessment. Kiok lah awak punya paper. Okay, tak apa. Kita tengok nanti what I mean by that. So nampak kalau after this, kalau your teacher bagi post-mortem untuk mid-year ke untuk trial SPM ke, and then your teacher said, okay, Shahrul, for example, Shahrul, right? Shahrul, you score quite low on C. Kan, on C. So, awak kena pelik. Kenapa saya boleh score low dekat C? Sebab C dia patutnya boleh score sebab dia under task completion, bukan linguistic competence. However, if your teacher said, okay, Siti, you score quite poor than COV smart in the language. So, and then you nampak, bila you buat assessment, you post-mortem your essay tu, nampak, oh, language dapat 3/5 untuk part 2 untuk guided writing, and then my CA is also 3. Oh, betul lah teacher aku cakap dia sangkut-sangkut, dia berkait-kait. Yes, okay, they will affect one another. Ya, sebab dia under linguistic competence. However, you don't have to worry so much. Kita ada cara untuk kita boleh kurangkan, okay. Nak kata untuk hilangkan semua tu in the shorter time quite be impossible sebab language needs training, needs practice. So, kita start slowly, yeah. Alright. Okay, so I think this one you already know kan. You can just screenshot this one sebagai nota untuk your revision later. So I think your teacher have covered this one with you in the classes. So you probably have known this. So content tak ada masalah teacher rasa. Your points or argument ni kita fokus pada part 2 tau. Part 2 and part 3. Okay, part 1 dia lain sikit. Not lain macam mana? Because part 1 is under informal punya task sikit. Okay, so dia more to informal sikit. Jadi part 2 and part 3 gang lain. Dia macam ada gaduh sikit. Okay, dia ada sikit. So you have to understand that whatever I'm explaining to you guys tonight for part 2, it will be applicable for part 3 as well, except story. Okay, except story. So teacher nak jangan ingat yang teacher ajar ni hanya untuk part 2 saja, but actually it can be applicable, can be applied to part 2 for part 3, especially review and article. Report dia lebih kurang, dia banyak benda tapi you tukar kepada passive sentences saja. Yeah, so that's why it's really important for all of us to understand part 2. Kalau teacher tanya, kalau my students tanya, teacher, jom kita buat part 3. I want to do this. Okay, I will ask them first. What about your part 2? Are you confident with part 2? Sebab kalau part 2 tak kemah, kan, tak kemah lagi teknik menjawab, and you don't know how to go about it. You don't know how can you get 5, band 5, or how can you get band 3, for example. You don't see the difference. I think you might have bigger problem when you go to part 3. So, jadi penting untuk you fahamkan dulu teknik untuk part 2 so that you can rely back those techniques in part 3. Yeah, alright. So let's look at CA for example. Sebab tadi CA you kata macam susah sikit, right? So refers to convention. Okay, sekejap. Let me just use pointer. Now CA refers to conventions of communicative tasks. It refers to tone, register, genre, format, and language function. So language function means to advise, to persuade, to convince, tu untuk review. Okay, review. So kalau review you, make sure you ada nada tulisan dekat towards the end tu should be convincing enough, persuasive enough. Kalau tak persuasive, tak tinggi lah markah CA awak. Okay, alright. So does it sound too formal, too informal? Okay, so of course you need to be able to grasp the target reader's attention. Maksudnya, your writing tu start pada introduction sampai conclusion, biar macam wow, biar sophisticated. Like when I read your essays, you'll be like, oh, this is good. I want to read more. Okay. Oh, boring lebih lambat lagi. Banyak lagi ke ditulis. Itu tak best tu. Okay. Writing hook. Right. So a good CA for article report must be a bit formal. A bit formal. Then an email, however lesser than a formal letter. Yes. Okay. I think you guys dah pernah tengok. Okay. Yang ni pun boleh screenshot. Teacher hanya nak laju-laju je. I think you already know this. So especially this. Especially this connectors, linkers, cohesive devices ni This one. Do not memorize. Okay. I have important point for organization. Okay. Untuk organization, ramai yang tak kata organization ni mencabar. But actually it is. Untuk you dapat band 5 full mark. Okay. For part 2 and part 3 especially. Okay, you have to be able, okay, this is very important for you. Untuk part 3 especially and part 2. So kalau you dapat part 3 tinggi, definitely part 2 you akan tinggi juga kan. So kita tengok part 3 Untuk you dapat part 3 or 5/5, which is quite impossible. So far teacher tak bagi, student mana-mana student dapat 5/5, mesti akan potong juga 1-2 markah. Okay, you have to, number 1, use a variety of cohesive devices. Not connectors, not linkers, but cohesive devices. So you kena faham apa tu cohesive devices. So cohesive devices are not fanboys, bukan fanboys. Tu adalah connectors. It's like strings of words that builds coherence in your whole structure of an essay. Maksudnya dia bukan furthermore, in addition, moreover, besides, on top of that. It's more than that. So kalau awak guna benda tu tadi 5, furthermore, moreover, in addition, besides, in conclusion. Okay, teacher, kita dah guna 5 je. So we should get 5/5 for part 3, for example. I probably would give you 2 only. 2 out of 5. Why? Teacher, saya guna 5 right? Banyak kot plural kot teacher. Yes, they are 5. But actually, if you go through the type of connectors that you just use, they are actually the same type. Furthermore, besides, in addition, moreover, they are same gang, same mazhab. Kita ada 4 mazhab kan? Okay, so same mazhab. So they are to introduce new ideas, to show addition of new ideas. So same gang. So dia kira 1 walaupun 4 you guna. Nampak? And another one you use in conclusion. Okay, in conclusion is to summarize idea, mazhab number 3. So yang kehilangan sekarang adalah mazhab number 2 and number 4. I think I remember explaining this to you guys during the PT3 camp last 2 years. So I hope you still remember that. Jadi kena pastikan you master ke semua jenis cohesive devices and gunakan dalam setiap perenggan, paragraph, not just an whole essay. Okay? Nanti kita tengok macam mana you nak build a nice well-written essay, paragraph untuk part 2. And then kalau you buat kemah that one part 2, insyaAllah part 3 you will be able to get high band as well for organization. Okay? Alright. Okay. Alright, never mind. Okay. Language, don't worry. Of course, I think language is the biggest concern of all, because there are a lot of under grammar, under language. Language memang ikut to grammar, and bila kita talk about grammar, tata bahasa memang banyak lah, banyak jenis kan. But there are things that I want you to focus on. Okay, cikgu bagi list. So betulkan yang teacher bagi list tu sahaja dulu. The rest tu comes over time lah. Okay, over time. Okay. Mana lah? Teacher pun nak tunjuk grammar je. So far, okay guys, am I talking too fast?
No, teacher, okay.
Alright, okay.
That's
Excellent.
fine.
Okay, fine. Alright, so I want to show you this first. So I mentioned just now that for you to score quite high for language, L, in terms of part 1, part 2, part 3, you should be able to minimize your errors. And a lot of questions raised in the questionnaire are about errors. So you tanya, ramai yang tanya, teacher macam mana nak dapat markah tinggi untuk L, macam mana nak kurangkan kesalahan grammar, how to score essay nicely. Okay, how to score essay nicely is simple, I think. You should score C, CA, O and L. So you kena bagi 4 dah sekarang. So now teacher nak fokus pada L. So 1 until 11 that you just see in this on the slide ni adalah kesalahan yang you mesti tidak buat. Okay, you must not do for SPM 2021. In fact, not just SPM, sampai you masuk university pun. Kan, some of you are going to go overseas lah, apalah nak belajar nanti university level, so don't do this as well. This is considered as global errors. Okay? So, kalau nanti you buat research on errors, there are banyak jenis errors. This one what we call global. Global means dia mengganggu maksud. Ya, dan bila you buat kesalahan yang mengganggu maksud, definitely it will affect accuracy and fluency. So bila dia affect fluency, ganggu CA awak. Okay, remember fluency, CA is all about smoothness of reading. CA dia ada 3 ciri yang ada CA. Number 1 is tone, register semua tu. So kalau you tulis report, make sure that the look of your essay tu biar macam report. Ada tajuk, ada sign. Biar nampak macam report lah. Okay, kita takkan potong markah kalau you tak tulis tajuk. For example, buat fikir, format ni macam mana kena potong markah tak kalau kita tak sign. Okay, we are not going to penalize you like -2 marks sebab tertinggal sign. No, tak ada kesalahan macam tu. Tak ada requirement as such. However, you have to understand that the more your essay represents the format, the more it looks like a report, for example, kalau report, okay, the more it sounds like a report, it look like a report, the convention used for a report is there, okay, then you should deserve a tick number 1 for CA. Okay, sebab dia punya rupa tu bunyi rupa macam report, which is good. Okay, and then probably kalau you ada tajuk, ada written by, ada sign, semuanya, tapi the way you tulis tak macam report, bunyi macam cerita, then it's not good CA. Nampak? Jadi whether you have macam mana cakap, jadi kalau you ada tajuk dan sign sahaja tapi tanpa isi, tak bunyi CA, tak bunyi report pun tak guna juga. So you know what I mean. Then CA is number 1, the look, the feel, the way you write should be like the genre tu lah. Kalau report, review, article. Number 1. Number 2 under CA is the smoothness of reading. Okay, the smoothness of reading. Maksudnya smoothness is gini, kalau kita ambil your essay, ada 2 essay, A and B, okay. So for example A, there are few slips, dia salah heja. Contohnya chicken kan dah plural tapi dia buah S, but the rest are okay. So dia cakap baca laju je, dia without stopping. So compared to B, dia guna ayat bombastic, terlalu bombastic sampai macam what she wants to say ni, what dia nak khabar ni, okay. Dia terlalu high sangat kan, sampai tak faham macam maksud tak kena kan, terlalu high. You main ambil daripada internet, for example, nampak macam sedap, you masukkan, lepas tu bila tulis rasa tak kena. So tapi yang A tadi dia guna vocab simple. Now in terms of CA, yang smoothness, I will go for this kind of writing more than the number 2, because it shows that number A candidate is able to convey the message, more effectively than B. So that is important for CA. Maksudnya that's why nanti kita akan buat latihan. Penggunaan vocabulary is very important for part 2 and part 3. Yeah? So jangan guna bombastic words yang tak apa-apa sampai mengganggu CA awak. Bukan saja ganggu CA, it will affect your language as well. Jadi leksis tu sangat important. Vocabulary is very important. So smoothness of reading. Lagi satu, smoothness of reading berkait rapat dengan language. So kalau you buat language error terlalu banyak dalam satu ayat, for example you ada, setiap ayat tu akan ada error, macam stop. So when I read the essays, you will be like this. Baca kejap, kena stop balik. Pusing balik, nak faham balik, baca balik. So bila the moment your teacher have to pause, kan lagi banyak dia kena stop, lagi kurang markah CA awak. Tapi kalau your teacher can read, laju habis, oh faham, oh okay dia nak begini. Okay, that's good. Okay, the smoothness of reading. Nanti teacher akan tunjuk contoh macam mana. So this one bergantung dengan area awak lah. Kalau area banyak akan ganggu smoothness, akan kurang smoothness, therefore markah CA kurang. And another thing is choice of words. The more words yang you guna tu tak apa-apa, macam tak faham, okay, the more akan mengganggu pembacaan. So therefore CA rendah. Okay. Number 3 for CA is the the writing hook. Okay. Target reader's attention. Maksudnya teacher sebelum mati laptopnya ambil tu lain takut tak sedar. Okay, so number 3, the criteria assessment for CA is the target reader's attention. Target reader attention. Maksudnya menarik. You macam attention grabber, you know. So kalau you write article, maybe you can start an intro tu dengan interesting thesis statement, or you can start with question, statistics, fakta, do you know? Bukan macam in my school, dia bukan typical, dia macam ada gaya. Okay, so sophisticated phrases, sentences, attention grabbers, writing hook. Kau nak Google, writing hook is one of the aspect for CA. Yang tu membezakan awak B2 writers, C1 writers. Okay, tapi kalau untuk B1, B2 dia main tadi lah, smoothness of reading, and then dia main dengan apa tadi, yang genre tadi, format nampak macam report kedai, so dia main gitu lagi. So yang nombor 3 tu a bit classy lah, a bit elegant. So kalau budak yang dah pandai, maybe you can play around that one as well. Okay, right, so again back to language. So this one. Now number, let's just highlight. Let me highlight. Okay. Passive sentence, it's really important for part 3, please. Okay, so this one is really important for article and report, okay, and review as well. Okay, so semua yang part 3 lah, kecuali story pun boleh guna, but banyakkan a mixture of active and passive sentences. Story dia lain sikit sebab story ni dia narrative, so ada cara dia nak kerja narrative. Okay, especially this one ya, SWA yang ditolong jaga guys. Teacher tak tahu nak kata apa kalau you tak pandai ni. Models, ramai budak-budak Terengganu ni dia suka buat must to. I must to go to the office. Must to go. So double redundancy kan, double modal verbs and two verbs, two infinitive. So jangan buat macam tu, adalah kesalahan yang serius kalau you pergi SNZ kan. You dah critical COVID-19 tu dah tahap kena lingkup lah tu yang intubated tu, betapa seriousnya kesalahan tersebut. Okay, so be careful on that. So macam COVID-19 kan dia ada banyak stage 1, stage 2, 3 and 4. So stage 4 are this lah, yang you nampak ni teacher highlight ni, stage 4. Stage 3 is where you kena masuk quarantine kan, dengan bilik ICU. Okay, so those things. Stage 1 maybe sleeps. Okay, sleeps. So for example chickens kan, walaupun tak agak tu je the rest okay, tu sleeps. Okay, so tak ada effect sangat, demam sikit-sikit lah. Stage 2 dah you know, dah kena gelang dah. So those things lah, faham right? So let me go back to the slide. Mana tadi kita? Okay, teacher nak sebut sikit lah dalam dada slide ni. Actually I want to skip tapi tak apalah, let's sebut. Now I mentioned to you guys that do not write okay, part 1 kita nak sentuh. However, I have to make a point juga because this is the answer sent by one SPP students to me. Ni jawapan yang teacher terima dari dia pelajar SPP, and SPP tu quite well known jugalah. So teacher nak tunjuk kat awak, and then the students already give permission. Dia pun nak dapat pahala lebih, dia suruh teacher panjangkan kepada semua calon SPM. Kita doakan pelajar ni ya. He said that teacher, this is my answer, so can you comment on this? Okay, so my comment is that sekejap, saya buat pointer. Okay, so my comment is that kalau you look at here, it's good. I mean like typically he answers, but ni okay, banyak pula message masuk, but anyway. Right, so this is A2 level, right? So A2 level is quite direct. You basically untuk your level awak makan score punya lah. Kan 555 per 20. Patut you dapat makan lebih kurang 18 ke atas lah. Memang cemerlang lah kan. So maybe 2 tu akan hilang kat language ke apa ke. Right, so these students, kalau you remember, for part 1 you should write about 80 words kan? 80 words. So what happen if you write lesser or longer than that? So macam tu saya kata, ada potong markah ke? Kan berapa kalau potong teacher? Okay. So there's no such thing as potong markah kalau you lebih 20 words terpotong 5 markah, tak ada. Okay. So here dia buat 149. Okay. Now, however, you have to understand that for underlined versus overlined scripts like this, okay, this is kira overline lebih panjang, lebih panjang. Dia akan ganggu CA. Remember cakap apa tadi? Under smoothness of reading. Okay. So the moment awak tidak direct, tidak menjawab dengan precise apa the question wants, dia mengganggu CA. Kenapa? Because it will fall under you meleret-leret. Okay, bila meleret-leret tak kena tempat, tak kena dengan apa dia nak, macam terlalu tambah banyak info yang tidak berkenaan, it will ganggu your CA in a sense that it will decrease the smoothness of reading tu. Dia macam monotonous sikit. Bila jatuh monotonous tu dia akan jadi pada CA awak. CA akan mana? CA akan jadi tak ada kat sini. Tapi sebab CA akan rendah lah. Walaupun excellent language. Macam nampak, jaga part 1 jangan meleret-leret. So part 1 you kena jawab apa the question wants. Like PT3 you can tambah extra information kan, yang tak ada dalam soalan nak gini tapi nak bagi lain boleh. But SPM cannot. Yeah, you have to jawab what the question wants. Kalau walaupun you tak suka pilihan tersebut. Contoh for example, the question asks you about your experience visiting cinema ke apa, you tak suka pergi cinema kan, you're such a indoor person, so tapi nak kena jawab juga. Yeah, alright. So here yang teacher highlight ni is a bit tak kena lah, you can omit saja. So let me use colour hijau. Okay, mana? We want to visit our grandparents, paragraph 2 Okay, sorry. Paragraph 2, my family and I want to go to Terengganu next month. We want to visit our grandparents after a long time no see. Okay, start pada sini, sampai sini dah tak berkenaan dah. Dah boleh potong dah, dah boleh cancel. Okay, you can cancel, tak berkenaan dah. Right? Tapi here pun dia macam dah hawa-hawa lah. But at least the soalan says, saya tak boleh pergi Langkawi. So you are bidding good wishes to your friend yang akan pergi. So ni boleh terima lagi. Ni dah boleh potong. Okay. So, and there are a few words yang tak sesuai juga. Contoh, upon. Upon is juga formal. So, ditukar pada perhaps. Okay, it's amazing. And the rest are okay. Okay, a great informal ending a bit choppy. Tapi yang ni tidak baiki ni. Kalau yang asal tu dia a bit choppy lah. Okay, so remember, although you are a good student, okay, don't be overconfident in part 1. Do not write too long. Be careful with the CA. Okay, just make sure that you be direct. Be informal, be communicative, and then just answers what the question wants. Yeah. Nah, nak panjang tunggu part 2 and part 3. Then you can go all out. Yeah. So this one pun sama. This one pun sama juga. Kan dia dah macam tak perlu dah yang ni. Okay, actually my family and I will visit during the school. Dah macam terlalu melek-lek dah by the way. Ni pun tak perlu. Macam tak ada orang nak tahu pun pasal ayuh dia. Kan, so you don't have to give something that is outside the question. So dia akan mengganggu CA awak, nampak? Bila itu dia gini panjang lah word dia. So bila dah jadi word panjang tu jadi overland. Overland ni tak salah sebenarnya, tapi kalau bila overland satu je, dua je risiko dia. Number 1, bila you tak sustain your accuracy, kan tulis terlalu panjang akan jadi grammar error banyak. Especially bila you dah not check. Bahaya tu. So tak pasal-pasal language akan banyak dah error. Dan bila language banyak error, ganggu CA dah. Tu belum lagi overline so double tu. Okay, double. So jangan risikokan your marks. Okay, so you should know the techniques for that. Okay, so let me just go to part 2 then. Okay, this part 1. Okay, part 2 tengok tadi. Okay, right, part 2. I think you already know this. Okay, so you have to remember that part 2 dia bit higher than part 1. Jadi jangan minta your teacher. Contoh for example, you dapat markah 5 dekat part 1. Tiba-tiba your teacher bagi 4. Okay, your teacher bagi untuk part 2 dapat 4, 3, 2. Lepas tu untuk part 3, you dapat 2, 1, 1, 1. Okay, so lepas tu You pergi go and find your teachers. Bukan marah, memang urgently you ask your teacher, why I got full mark 20 with 20 in part 1, but why you give me so low? Dapat apa? 3 campur dapat 5 je, right? Okay, 5 per 20 je dapat dekat part 2, and then here dia dapat 5 campur 7 is 13, isn't it? 12, okay? Kan, 20. So you'll be like, teacher, look at the graph, it's decreasing, right? So it's supposed to be like that. Yeah, it's supposed to be like that. Why? Sebab dia kita naikkan band dia. So kalau yang ni di level UPSR, so by right awak SPM, good. Kacang je kan. So here is level PT3, so this is level PT3 and this is level SPM sebenar. So real challenge for you is part 3. Okay, and part 2 is quite important as well. So jadi jangan rasa macam down lah kalau you dapat markah rendah kat part 3 ni. Walaupun part 2 and 1 and 2 you score quite well because it's supposed to be like that. Macam memang dia expect akan rendah sikit lah. Okay, even me pun kalau teacher dengan Sir Faiz pun nak sit for exam SPM, we might score full mark for part 1 and part 2 for example. Tapi part 3 tak semestinya. Kan? Sebab tak semestinya teacher boleh score full mark. So dia susah sikit lah. Aras kesukaran is a bit higher. Okay, I think you already seen this as well. So now teacher nak kaitkan dengan CA. You pernah nampak ni slide ni. Okay, so I think I've used it like masa kita punya camp dulu. So the CA, formality. Remember this number 1 for sub-criteria for CA? It's the genre, okay, the tone, alright. So kalau you want to write report, ramai yang kata report susah sebab gini lah, sebab dia kena formal, okay. Tapi article review dia kena semi-formal, and story duduk sini. That's why story dia gang dia lain sikit, dia macam duduk kawan mana dengan article, report and review. Tapi you ada cara lain lah, teknik yang lain, okay. Part 2 is here. Guided writing ni dia, okay, nampak tak teacher buat bracket tu? It's like campuran, okay, that's why nama dia guided writing. So kalau you nampak soalan pun nanti dia kata appropriate style. Dia tak mention benda appropriate tu, so dia kata apa yang style yang appropriate. So how do you interpret appropriacy, okay? So we're going to look at that as well. Nampak ni kan? Okay, so dia kata appropriate style. So benda tu appropriate tu bagi saya mungkin appropriate, tapi bagi pemeriksa mungkin tak appropriate. Okay, so you have to understand this. Now appropriate style mean it should show grammar. Okay, it should show conventions of a normal, of a ordinary essay. Maksudnya untuk part 2 you kena cara you kena jawab tu mesti kena cara you kena approach question tu, it must be it must show the typical conventions of an essay. Maksudnya pertama, okay, ni kena ada part 2. Pertama, you mesti ada introduction, body contents, conclusion, basic structure, wajib ada. So kalau you tak sempat masa, you tinggal you sempat siap body content saja, conclusion tak ada, itu akan affect your marks. Ya, itu akan affect content dan CA. Alright, okay, number 1. Number 2, appropriate style, convention of an essay. We are expecting candidates to be able to use thesis statement, topic sentence and supporting details. I repeat, thesis statement, topic sentences and supporting details. So maksudnya bila you build your answers for part 2, you must display this. Kat mana nak berbuat thesis statement, kat mana nak berbuat topic sentences, and how well you link those ideas dalam setiap perenggan. Nampak? Okay? So tu cara dia untuk part 2 tu. Okay, and then teacher, can I use I, pronouns I? Sebab dia tanya pasal my hobby, betul tak? So can I use I? Sebab dia tanya saya kan? Okay, yes you can. Definitely you should use I. Okay, however, tadi teacher pun kena formal sikit-sikit. So gana tu teacher. Okay, so it's semi-formal. Maksudnya, there are parts that you can approach in a general way. There are parts you can go specific for your preference, personal preference. Okay, tengok nanti ya. Right, so let's look at the question. This is the question given by the buku format by Lembaga Peperiksaan. So I intend to use the same thing. Senang kita tengok pada benda yang sama saja. In your class, you've been talking about hobbies. Okay, your teacher has asked you to write an essay about the benefits of having a hobby. Now, in your essay, you should write your hobby, when you usually do your hobby, and why you choose the hobby. Now, a basic structure to this. Remember, number 1, teacher kata kena ada basic structure. Okay. I always tell my students lah, kalau maybe your teacher pun ada cara lain, tapi untuk my students juga buat gini je. Senang je, tak payah pening. The moment you nampak 3 bullet points, insyaAllah dah akan keluar 3, tak akan ada 4 lah. Okay, 3 bullet points or less. The moment you nampak bullet point, terus jadikan dia body content. Bila cikgu kata body content tu, terus jadikan dia satu perkataan each. One bullet point sama dengan one paragraph. Okay, so here what you should do is when you answer question number part 2, okay, this one akan jadi sorry. Okay, let me get the pens ready. So this one should be your paragraph 2. 3, 4. And paragraph number 1 is intro. And last paragraph is conclusion. So in the end, you are going to have 5 paragraph. Intro, conclusion, body contents. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Right. So kembangkan macam tu structure dia. That is typical band structure. Remember, untuk you dapat band 4, 5 ke atas, you must display a basic appropriate conventions of a writing task, which is essay, right? So yang tu kena ada intro dan ni, right? And then your hobby ni, okay, kalau ramai students yang tak plan, ni problem dia. Sebab kalau you ingat you boleh macam mana? You boleh jawab the mock gitu, okay? So you terus letak your hobby. I enjoy listening to music, kan, for example, or I enjoy drinking coffee, for example, since I was 10. So you start gitu dah dekat introduction. So nampak tak, your hobby ni yang sepatutnya pergi paragraph tu jadi paragraph 1. Therefore, it doesn't really reflect the correct way of conventional essay. You might score a little bit lower in terms of C ataupun CA ataupun O. Tengok, bergantung kepada the way you organize your essay. Okay, ni ramai tak tahu. Okay, so tolong jangan buat macam tu. So tolong organize your essay dalam bentuk intro, body contents and conclusion. And that's why I told you just now, thesis statement plays a big role in part 2. Okay, you kena master cara membuat essay yang macam factual sikit, okay, and then campur dengan personal. So it's like factual plus reflective essay. Yeah, alright. So tak apa, jangan kita lihat. So now you faham Okay, reasons for your point of view. Okay, sini boleh masuk dalam body content, no problem. Now, right, so let's go to writing assessment band dulu sebelum kita tengok macam mana nak jawab. Okay, now, so far, can I ask you guys, how many of you masa you guys buat essay ni kan, essay part 2, part 3, writing during PDPR ni, how many of you really adalah writing band tu tepi awak? Masa awak tulis tu you tengok apa kriteria dia, tak you buat macam tu? Or you just hentam saja saya siap ke how? Did you use writing band assessment with you? Did you print it out and paste it on the wall of your bedroom ataupun study room? Ada?
No.
No.
Not really, teacher.
Tak apa. Maybe lepas you can do that, I think. Okay, I really want to recommend you guys. Okay, you dah print semua. You print yang band 3, 4, 5 saja untuk part 2 and part 3. Okay, part 1 tu tak payah print aku sebab I rasa teacher macam quite basic kot. You can score dah, cuma jaga language. And jangan terlalu panjang tulis, nanti ganggu CA. But part 2 and 3, I think you can print dekat band 3, 4, 5 supaya you nampak, okay. Supaya it's like checklist. Whenever you have finished your essay, kan, dah tulis siap writing tu. For example, you dah finish kan, dah siap. Lepas tu nanti you bila nak submit itu your teacher, check balik dekat written band assessment tu. Nampak yang teacher tulis kat slide tu kan. Okay, ada tak yang I buat gini-gini? CA, ada tak gini? So that will be the greatest, safest way lah untuk awak dapat markah band yang you nak. Ya, sebab to be able to be independent learner, you should do this. Sebab kalau nak harap kepada, you boleh je suruh teacher awak check, tapi it's better that you have that own kind of awareness tu. Lagi-lagi impact dia untuk dapat markah, untuk dapat score A untuk apa SPM 2021 is higher if you do that berbanding dengan you harap pada feedback teacher. Yeah, right. So you can do that. Nanti print comel-comel. Oh my god. Tak apalah. I got a few important messages. Apa? Let's carry on. Ada soalan ke sebelum ni? Part 1 ke part 2? Faham tak CA, O and L so far? Semangat dia. Good. Okay, great. Okay, so just sambung untuk this one. Okay, these are the, okay, you can ni untuk part 2 assessment scale. Sorry. Sebelum this one. Okay, so part 2 assessment scale. Mana teacher punya pen? Okay, let me use highlighter. Now, we are aiming, of course, we are aiming part 2 dekat band 5. Okay, ni band 4, ni band 3. Okay, yang ni tak tengok lah yang ni. Ni kita ambil lah ni. This is not our standard. Awak punya standard tu up sikit. Ni basher punya standard. Right, so we are going to look into especially this one lah. Okay, part band 4 and 5. Alright, so what does it mean is that kalau you dapat 5 kat sini, now kalau you dapat band 5 kat sini, maksudnya untuk part 3 you will get band 3. Okay, you akan dapat band 3. Tu dia punya skala conversion dia. Right, so here let's look at content. Tapi you kena faham dulu apa yang you kena ada untuk dapat band 5. This is how you answer question for writing. So not for C, all content is relevant to the task. Target reader is fully informed. Relevant to the task mean, okay, ni yang teacher masukkan. So maybe kalau you ada punata, you can jot down sikit sebab this is how I interpret it, and then maybe you can faham sebab nanti kalau awak tak faham, benda lah maksudnya relevant to the task, jawapan saya kena je lah. So there are meanings to it. So okay, let's go to C first. Okay, all content is relevant to the task. Relevance bermaksud number 1. Okay, number 1, you tidak miss out task fulfillment. Bullet point yang 3 ketul tadi tu kan, 3 ketul dekat part 2 and betul-betul dekat part 3 tu mesti kena jawab dan and you have to make sure that each bullet point dikembangkan menjadi one solid content body paragraph. Itu masuk relevant. Okay. Sekejap, teacher kena jawab ni. Give me 1 minute. 1 minute je.
Let's get back to
Right, so sorry guys. Cannot ignore the cause. Okay, sekejap. Okay, let me continue. Where were we? Okay, so basically we were talking about the band, right? So what C means, okay? Number 1, I told you the bullet points, do not ignore them, do not hate them, love them. So when I say love them, you have to nurture them and expand into one body paragraph solid. So how to create solid body paragraph? Okay lah, nanti teacher dah tunjuk pada you guys masa 2 years ago about the hamburger technique. There are many names to it. Ada yang kata hamburger technique, ada yang kata pizza technique, ada yang kata pergi. Banyaklah teknik-teknik dia, tapi basically the idea is the same, okay? So you are combining topic sentence, supporting details, and you include with the reiterations at the end of the paragraph. Itu yang kita namakan dengan hamburger technique, okay? So teacher nak you buat untuk part 2, especially part 2 and kalau you answer review, article and report untuk part 3. Kalau story dia ada cara lain, okay? Kalau you nampak lah modul yang teacher bagi tu, untuk story dia ada two cara lah. Okay, number 1 is show don't tell, so it's basic, it's very important for that, and number 2 is a plot. Dia plot writing technique. So you have to master those two. Siapa yang suka buat story, memang dia, you are born as storyteller and memang you nak aim untuk jawab story, soalan story for mid-year trial and SPM, make sure you cover those two techniques. But for the one that I'm going to focus tonight is more on the general conventions of an essay. You boleh guna untuk make any semi-formal to formal kind of writing. Okay, so that's mean by C. Okay, relevant, solid content points. Okay, and then target reader is fully informed. Okay, fully informed sama lah. The moment you buat hamburger technique tu, insyaAllah you akan cover dua-dua untuk C ni. Maksudnya dia akan dah fully informed sebab you akan tambah examples, you akan tambah supporting details, okay, you akan to tambah linkers, connectors, cohesive devices dalam body perenggan tu. Ni bukan kita cakap essay tau, ni perenggan. Okay, so maksudnya we expect your part tu ni agak solid lah. See? So jangan tulis short like one perenggan, 2 ayat, 3 lines, 2 lines. That is not solid enough. For me, a typical, teacher bukanlah kata requirement, no, but tapi kalau kita tengok by the look of it kan, sekali imbas kan, sekali imbas punya judgement, a solid paragraph, okay, not essay, paragraph should have about, I think, minimum 4 lines. Okay, minimum 4 lines, and in that lines, in that paragraph tu kena ada topic sentence, kena ada supporting details, okay, and kena ada a little kind of like reiteration. Reiteration ni macam you conclude sikit lah untuk that point. Okay, you macam tu. Tapi yang penting topic sentence. Topic sentence kena ada step perenggan. Okay, so topic sentence tu apa? Ni lah tadi. Yang bullet point tadi ni. So, you should have 1 ayat dalam perenggan number 2 about your hobby. For example, something like, ever since I was young, I always prefer skiing to jogging. So, that is topic sentence. Your hobby. So nak khabar, hobi awak adalah skiing since you kecil lagi. Or perenggan number 2, as number 3, when you usually do your hobby. Okay, so you can start your perenggan number 3 with something like, I never know. I've never known that singing, contoh singing. I've never known that singing would take me this far. But looking back, it all started when I was in primary school. Nampak? Tu ayat topik sentence. Nampak? Okay? So you have to have that one. So dia agak mencabar ni bila you nak kenal. So, sometimes you dah tahu benda tu topik sentence. Topik sentence, ayat idea untuk that paragraph. Okay? So bullet point adalah topik sentence. You kena developkan dia. Right. So let's go to CA then. Okay, so teacher, buka pointer dulu. Let me go to this one. Okay, CA, Communicative Achievement. I think we have talked about this in general, but for here, uses the conventions of the communicative task to hold the target's reader's attention. Okay, to hold the target's reader's attention. Maksudnya bila you buat ni, your examiner, your teachers must be able to be interested in your writing. You sustain their interest, and of course you communicate straightforward ideas appropriately. Maksudnya jangan berjela-jela tak tahu benda. Okay, nak cerita pasal singing kan, the way you start singing hobby tu, tapi you terlalu abstract sangat singing itu, you masuk macam BTS masuk, EXO masuk kan, Bruno masuk, so tak tahu benda dah, tapi center tak link. So therefore dia tak straightforward, CA kan terganggu. Okay, now organization. Text is generally well organized. Look at the word well organized. So bukan organized biasa-biasa, well organized. Meaning it's like it's really connected well. Okay, so well tu is strong word tau, well tu. So and coherent. Coherent means memang the way you sequence your ideas tu memang smooth, comel. Dia macam you tambah idea. Okay, first of all, it all started when I was 16. During a summer holiday, when I was in summer camp in for example in Kuala Terengganu or in Kemaman kan, and then you kabarlah all too soon, it become all too soon. It's cohesive devices tu. Nak kabar sejurus lepas you balik camp tu, you suka singing. So the all too soon. So the way you link event you pergi camp dengan the way you realize your hobby tu kena. So that's coherent. So this all needs practice. Okay, so you tak boleh menghafal cohesive devices sebab banyak benda cohesive devices yang teacher rasa kita, even teacher pun kan, bila when I go through notes, wah banyak lagi yang saya tak introduce kat my students punya. So oftentimes we always focus pada, kita selalu fokus pada yang typical seperti besides, to sum up kan, or all in all, tu benda basic, tapi yang connecting sentences dalam paragraph tu yang penting tu. Okay, so that's where your O lah, O markah punya. Right, cohesive devices. And a variety. Yang ni cakap apa tadi? Gunakan variety of cohesive devices. Jangan guna sejenis satu mazhab saja. Gunakan many mazhab. Okay, how to know this? Teacher, macam mana nak dapatkan maklumat pasal ni? Okay, I believe that all of you have been given the link to the MIP module. Yeah? Okay, refer to that. Page, I forgot dah, tapi ada lepas part 5 tu kita pergi pada cohesive devices. Banyak latihan cohesive devices yang you boleh hafal, print out, gunakan dalam setiap written practice. And actually, ladies and gentlemen, cohesive devices ni teacher sangat-sangat nak tekankan tonight. Bukan tekankan, nak really emphasize that it's really important, much more important than content, for example, because it's a factor for spoken assessment as well. Nanti you masuk pada paper speaking, you can nampak kalau you tak be able to use it in your utterance spoken like this, you will not get band 4 and above. Never in your life. Okay, so sangat important untuk you tahu macam mana nak linkkan sequence dia punya tutur. So cohesive devices sangat penting guys. So you have to tahu, gunakan not just in written, spoken as well. It should come out like spontaneous. For example, kalau you nak your mom masuk kari ayam kan, tapi you suka gulai ketam for example. So mom, thank you for cooking, thank you for the lunch today. So you cooked chicken curry. However mom, so link it. But, boleh guna but, tapi but biasa-biasa. You kena guna yang tinggi. However mom, I think probably next time we could try. Okay, crabs curry ke apa ke, nampak tak? Okay, nevertheless it's good. Nampak? So gunakan benda tu smoothly, spontaneously, so that nanti bila you buat paper speaking, lancar. Kan, taklah terkia-kia, lemak nak disagree ni, gana nak bangkang ni. You wrong. Okay, not like that. Okay, you have to be able to remember fluency tanpa pausing. Okay, that's one thing. So ingat cohesive devices ni memang you kena master untuk writing and speaking. Spoken interaction. Okay, dua-dua. Right, language. Uses a, okay, this one kita tengok tadi, tapi tak apa, let's just go one more time. Language L. Uses a range of everyday vocabulary with occasional occasional inappropriate use of less common lexis. Okay, yang kita teacher nak sebut tadi, less common lexis. Maksudnya, your lexis tu mesti at B2 ke atas. So, like is A1. Tukar kepada noun, for example, verb to noun. So how to change word to word kind of lexis. So number one, you boleh guna change of word class from the verb. For example, you kata like, you tukar kepada nouns, preference, okay? Or you can do this way, from adjective, you tukar kepada nouns. Important, penting. Exercise is important. The importance of exercising, nampak, you tukar structure. So you can play around with that. Tu adalah antara cara untuk you tinggikan aras vocabulary awak. Okay? Of course lah, selain benda tu you have to read a lot and then, tapi be careful tau guys, sebab the moment awak you kena guna in context tau. You have to use these words naturally. Maksudnya, you jangan guna words yang nampak hebat, nampak macam situ. For example, you guna the word the metrocracy kan, metrocracy ni kalau you baca politik ni adalah atau metropolitan. Okay, metropolitan is a noun kan, the metropolitan. Betul yang dia buat macam ni, the metropolitan population city. dah salah dah. Kenapa? Sebab noun versus noun, so you cannot put noun modifier next to one another. So kena faham macam mana nak guna tu. So this one comes with practice. So you kena baca dan try guna dalam your essay. Nanti you akan dapat slow-slow. Okay? Tapi kalau ni lah, kalau untuk teacher cara yang teacher nak buat untuk tambahkan pengetahuan untuk vocab, I read a lot. Not like a lot pun, tak banyak pun. Teacher malah agak macam awak, macam asal awak you guys already rajin lagi from me. But I think I read a lot. And from reading it helped me to kind of like dapatkan banyak vocab here. And then bila you banyak here, kena guna lah. Jangan you simpan kat here, tak jadi juga. You kena guna. Sebab bila you guna, not just in written, in spoken nanti bila nak buat speaking paper pun akan muncul balik. Which is good. Remember, untuk spoken paper, you ada vocabulary, ada V. G, V, C, C. Ni kriteria untuk dapat markah tinggi. Grammar, vocabulary, communicative competence. Vocabulary tu memang khas cuti dia saja untuk spoken. Jadi kalau you cakap I like coffee, I like sleeping, or I like chicken curry, ada benda awak. Kan, ada benda lah. Maksudnya kalau untuk written ni dia duduk dalam language, dia capa mak lain. Tapi untuk spoken ni dia suti je. Vocabulary. So you have to be careful on that. So make sure that whatever utterances you are going to give, it should be of a B1 level and above. Yeah, so this come with practice. So that's why jangan bunyi tengah nungak kan. So I know PDPR you use a lot of Terengganu slang with your family and friends at home. So but try to now that you know it's nearing the spoken paper, it's nearing soon. So try to practice and try to speak good English. Yeah. So pronunciation tu bulatkan mulut awak. My name is my name. Buka mulut, my name is, okay, proper pronunciation. Right. So error do not impede. Cepat satu lagi. Error do not impede maksudnya okay, the moment nanti cakap begini. Right. Complex degree, good degree of control. Okay, bila you masuk untuk dapat band 5 part 2 iaitu ataupun band 3 part 3, okay, cuba pening lah. Okay, band 2, part 2 band 5. Okay, ni yang kita tengok ni. Or it will sama dengan part 3 band 3. Okay, tu conversion dia. So, just almost sasul this one. So, maksudnya kalau nak dapat band 3 part 3 dia akan sama juga macam ni ya. So, dia akan ada a good degree of control. Maksudnya a good degree of control ni macam we still can expect some errors. Memang akan ada error juga untuk dapatkan band 3, tapi error tu tidak mengganggu maksud. Dia, remember COVID-19 tadi kita buat contoh COVID-19, ada stage 1 punya COVID-19 tu. Nampak? Okay. So do not impede communication. Dia tak ganggu communication at all. Right? So tapi common lexis tu sangat penting. Okay, dapat Kita harap you dah clear kriteria untuk dapatkan band 5 untuk part 2. And band 3 part 3. Ni kena ada. Okay, so nanti kalau untuk dapatkan band 5 part 3 naikkan sikit je lagi, naikkan 2 tangga lagi untuk baiki. Maksudnya kalau tadi band 3 dah tak ada salah tapi tak ganggu maksud, band 5 tak ada salah langsung, kecuali slip saja. Okay, alright. So okay guys, am I making sense to you? Yes. Alright, great. Sekarang pukul
Yes,
apa dah?
teacher.
Okay, pukul 9:30. Okay, great. We are moving on time. Right, so this is the organizer, the one that I've told you guys. So ni teknik yang you kena master lah untuk part 2. So every time you want to write, you can use this style. So this one yang teacher buat version me. I just okay. Sekejap. Teacher minta maaf sekali lagi. So sorry. 1 minute je. Okay, so sorry about that. Okay, let's carry on. So writing, yes. Okay, so you can use this one untuk part 2 as well as article, report and review. So this one, okay, remember I told you tadi, for you to get a nice solid part 2, imagine like this. Remember bullet point just now? Okay, I told you for you to get a solid 5/5, you should be able to develop that bullet point into a solid paragraph, right? Okay, I want you to imagine that your essay, your part 2 essay, okay, supposed to be introduction, body paragraph, conclusion, isn't it? Okay, so every little body paragraph you put little burgers inside. So one big burgers, intro, burger 1, burger 2, burger 3, and conclusions. That's how you should organize your part 2 nicely kalau you nak markah solid lah untuk content. And insyaAllah bila solid, markah untuk organisation will also be taken care of, because the moment you buat perenggan yang solid, you akan ada topic sentence and you akan ada examples or elaboration. So dua tu dah menyebabkan you akan guna connectors nanti ataupun cohesive devices. Therefore, you dah cover all. Nampak? That's why you have to write longer a bit lah untuk dapatkan markah O, L and CA. Okay, and the whole thing will develop to a good CA kalau you buat nicely, coherent tu. Okay, alright, so this one you can try and practice. So if you think you still not know what topic sentence is, you can ask your teachers to go through this. Topic sentence sebenarnya sangat senang. Dia itu ayat idea awak. Nanti dia tunjuk macam mana dia laisi, dia rupa dia macam mana. And kalau you rasa you ada problem, you have problems, you don't know what to write. I make it compulsory for most of my students, all of my students to use established questions. So I think we have done this juga. Your teacher pun have done this over and over. Macam mana nak guna established question. You have to remember there are 6 established question. What, who, where, apa lagi? Why, how and when kan? Okay. So dalam 6 tu there are 2 yang high level and there are 4 yang macam aras rendah, lots and hots, right? So campur dua. So kalau you guna ideally untuk you dapatkan one solid nice burger for body content yang jika bawah 4 lines ke atas tu, I think you can use about 3, okay? 3 variety, 3 jenis established question. Contoh kalau you guna, let me just tulis kat sini. Now, established question. Now, kalau you guna like this, contohlah perenggan, this is like contohnya my hobby tadi kan? My hobby. Okay, so kalau you guna my hobby, this one untuk perenggan burger ni, you guna what. So you can bawa my hobby singing. And then you guna what 3 kali. And then you guna what kan. And then you guna when. It's all started when you were in primary school. Okay, so you guna sekali. So, and then you were like, teacher, I already used this question. So I used 3 times what, and when. So there are like 4. What, when. Okay, actually that's not good enough. Baru 2 jenis you guna. Yang teacher masukkan sini is like macam cohesive devices tadi. Gunakan pelbagai jenis. Okay, so you should tambah another one. Probably you guna why you like singing for example. Ataupun kalau tak nak redundant dengan point yang bawah tu, gunakan who encourage you to start singing. Nampak? Who. So baru ada 3 jenis. So what I meant is type bukan bilangan tau. So kita nak quality je. So remember, it's not about quantity. It's more like quality of the writing of the best question that you use. So kalau boleh, gunakan 3 jenis lah. What, when, why. Ikutlah why tu 5 kali pun tak sah, janji 3 jenis. Okay, that's how you can come up with the solid paragraph. This one is not just for part 2. You can use it for part 3, artikel pun gitu, report pun gitu, story pun gitu in fact. Okay, so you perbagaikan your elaborations tu. Right, and then of course lah kena ada semua ni and reinstate. Okay, this is a bit challenging. Not everyone can reinstate their paragraph. Okay, tapi basically reinstatement ni dia akan nampak lagi jelas bila you buat argumentative kind of essay, right? Tapi don't worry. For example, kalau you rasa macam terlalu challenging untuk you penuhi reinstatement ni untuk your burger, it's okay. Try to baby step, as I told you. Try to kemaskan your topic sentence dulu dengan this one. Okay, try to kemaskan your ni dulu. Supaya command cover lah dua ni. Nampak ni? Okay, tak nampak apa. Okay. So, kemaskan dua ni dulu. This one. Yang ni mungkin after mid-year kau tak sempat masa. You practice and put in time. Right? Okay, so do that. Make sure you do that so that you will be able to get solid band for part 3 as well as part 2. Definitely part 2. Okay? Tapi jagalah lepas you buat tu, check your language as well. Okay? Check juga language. Takut nanti you tulis banyak sangat tapi language tak jaga. Okay, that's one thing. So banyaklah kena jaga ni actually. Bila buat written benda ni memang banyak kena jaga. Okay, so this is another example of markah dapat 5. Content dia score 5 tapi for the linguistic competence dapat 3. Okay, so this one easier as I told you because it's under task completion. Okay, this is actually teacher buat keratan saja, dia ada perenggan lain ni tapi teacher buat keratan saja. So I think your teacher must have shown you this, but teacher nak highlight kat sini. Tengok vocabulary dia guna. Okay, this is part 2, right? PT3 level. Ni PT3 level tau. Awak dapat markah penuh pun lagi PT3 level pun. Okay, let's look at here. Let's look at language. Kita tengok language dia. Okay, kenapa dia dapat 3? Kenapa dia tak dapat 4, 5? Okay. Remember untuk dapat 5 you kena ada a good degree of control, and then you kena ada apa lagi? Kita tengok baik tadi. You kena ada simple complex sentences, you kena ada less common lexis and errors do not impede. 3 benda tu Okay, let's look at this. Ada tak kesalahan yang dibuat menyebabkan dapat 3? Right. So kena ada lexis yang agak tinggi, dan kena ada grammar errors kurang yang tidak mengganggu maksud, and you have to use simple compound complex punya sentences. Okay. My class has been discussing how each other spend our money, and our teachers has asked me about my spending money. Okay. Ask me about my spending money. Ada dah satu kesalahan yang mengganggu maksud. Dah lagi sikit dah. Tapi dia start dia comel dah ni. Dia dah buat ayat compound dah ni. Nampak dia buat ayat compound dah tapi ada error. So bila macam ni, your errors at the end of a sentence sudah nullifies. Okay, dah nullifies the whole attempt you nak try guna compound tu. Maksudnya kalau you buat, that's why kita kata kalau nak buat ayat simple, compound complex, pastikan betul dan efektif. Maksudnya kalau gini, sia-sia je you buat ayat compound sebab belakang ni dah ganggu maksud dah. So tak ada markah juga. Nampak? Okay, so about my spending money, about the way I spend my money, boleh juga. Okay, right. I like to use my money to buy food. Okay, ni ayat simple balik. It is because I love to eat. Okay, even though blah blah blah. Okay, even though ni macam kena jauh sikit kan. Okay, nampak? Beside that, okay, kalau teacher nak buat organization, okay, teacher remember cohesive devices. Okay, ada because, ada basic connectors, even though, ada beside that, lagi ada because lagi, okay dia ada and, okay dia basic and basic ya, dia macam basic sangat tu. Okay ada but, lagi after all, basic juga, because, so, that's it. Okay, so basically there's not much of variety there, tak ada variety pun kan, dia hanya ada connectors. Okay, dalam pada yang teacher highlight hijau ni hanya only even though dengan beside that je yang tinggi sikit yang kita panggil cohesive devices. The rest tu hanyalah connectors, because so after all pun biasa-biasa je. After all bolehlah dia kira sebagai cohesive devices tapi still low. Maknanya hanya satu jenis, iaitu dia guna kat depan ayat untuk introduce new ideas, untuk show the linkers, the link of ideas being conveyed, being communicated, right? So maknanya sejenis lah. Remember untuk dapatkan 5 you kena guna a variety of cohesive devices. You kena guna kat depan, guna kat tengah, kat belakang, kena guna belakang. Contrast idea kan. So maybe we're going to despite maybe I got a reason for buying any, you buat ayat tu biar ada kontras ke sikit, so you pelbagaikan your structure sentences. tu baru dikira band 5. Ni dia dapat 3 sajalah. Sebab satu kurang cognitive devices and then diguna pun sejenis saja. Tak rarity, tak mencapai band 5. Nampak? Sebab tu jatuh pada band 3. Tak sampai 4 pun. Okay, nampak so jangan banyakkan and but tu betul tapi tu basic sangat. So go beyond that. Okay, go beyond that. And then another one is communicative achievement. Remember communicative achievement is you should write macam kena dengan convention of an essay untuk part 2. So therefore here, kalau you tengok pada contoh yang kita tunjuk kat screen ni, remember dia introduction dia dah buat content point dah. My class, ni dia bagi ambil daripada petikan, daripada soalan. I like to use my money to buy food. So dia dah jawab macam mana dia spend. So this is not wrong actually. Dia tak salah pun. Kan? Tapi you could have gotten 5. You boleh dapat 5 kalau you kena cara dia. Iaitu you gunakan teknik convention intro, body content, burger, and conclusion. Intro maksudnya you buat general statement. Baru you buat thesis statement yang general, baru you pergi pada your own the way you spend your money. Sebab ni adalah bullet point pertama ni. Nampak? Bullet point pertama dia buat isi intro dah. Remember kita discuss tadi kalau you buat like this, probably it will not fully show the convention of a normal written task. Nampak? Okay? So that's why you kena jaga, pastikan you start your essay dengan something yang general dulu, baru masuk body content number 1 iaitu perenggan kedua, baru pergi pada I. Pronouns I. Tapi sebelum tu you buat something yang general. How to make a general introduction, something like this. Okay, you can baca comment. The text communicates straightforward ideas using some of the conventions of an essay such as introduction, conclusion as well as opinion in a reasonably appropriate way. Kan? Dia duduk macam kemah dia punya structure tu. Okay, now if you write like this, okay, then you will get 5, 5, 5, 5. Okay, 5, 5, 5. And then my comment would be, okay, teacher akan bagi you can screenshot ni. Ni adalah jawapan dalam sample written essays given by the LP. But teacher yang penting sekarang you kena tengok kenapa dia dapat 5, kenapa tak dia dapat 3. So you have to understand that one so that you know what are the elements of band 5 written text compared to band 3 and so forth. So kalau here, okay, look at here the comment. There are some conventions of an essay such as neutral tone and appropriate introduction and conclusion. Nampak tak? Main peranan sebenarnya kalau you buat intro yang best dekat part 2. And yang general dulu, yang bukan pergi terus pada I. Okay? The candidate also states personal opinions and general truth about money. Nampak kalau tak dia tu dia macam straight away dia teredoh lalu. Dia tak ada salam, tak ada apa. Then, right. Paragraph are generally well organized and coherent and they are a variety. So nampak dia gunakan variety such as paraphrasing to avoid repetition. Okay, which is good. Okay, remember cakap apa tadi? It is important to exercise. Importance adjective and you tukar kepada the importance of exercises. You tukar, you structure, you rephrase. Tu teknik dia tu. Okay? So this is such as paraphrasing to avoid repetition. The moment you repeat the same word, dia akan jatuh pada markah rendah untuk O. Okay, O, organization jangan repeat O. Okay, jangan repeat words. Used to introduce and link through text. Okay, now let's look at language. Language dapat 5. Okay, tapi sementara tu kita tengok. Inilah organization dulu. Over the years, this is a great opening, or kita panggil cohesive devices juga. Over the years, saban hari, ataupun baru-baru ini something like that. Okay, nampak the word dia punya ni. And then let's look at the word, kita pergi pada lexis. Crucial, dia tak guna important, dia guna crucial. Now kalau you betul-betul faham aras bahasa, you akan nampak important, essential, necessary, crucial, fundamental. So the fundamental and crucial part tu memang sangat tinggi bahasa dia. Okay, so budak ni pandai lah, dia faham. Oh, B2 words is crucial. I should use crucial, not important. Nampak? Okay, so this one datang dari your reading, your practice. Okay, the more you read, the more you practice, dapat lah. InsyaAllah. It's a part of our life. It is almost impossible to sustain. Kan? Macam kalau kita, it is almost impossible to survive, use. Kita boleh use lah, tapi dia guna sustain, which is good vocab. Ourselves without the presence of money. Nampak dia guna noun phrase. Kalau kita maybe kata we will not be able to survive without money. With no money we cannot survive. Kita kan kata gitu. Tapi this kid no. Dia olah jadi ayat pasif and guna noun phrase. So the more formal, the more complex your structure is or your structures are, the better marks for language, organization and CA. Linguistic competence 3 tu. Nampak Okay, the amount of money is the very element. This is a good style. Remember CA, kita ada 3 tadi, tone, genre semua. Number 2 is smoothness of reading. Number 3, sophisticated sentences yang dia kata target reader, arouse, sustain tu. Ni lah. The very element. Ni under CA that part, sophisticatedness, budak pandai. Maksudnya dia memang tahu dia nak emphasis tu. Okay, is the very element. Ni boleh je ke apa? The amount of money is essential, is crucial, is important to separate rich from the poor. Tapi dia kata is the very element. It's a style there. Ini dia mungkin dia dapat dari segi dia banyak baca ke apa ke. That separates SVA on point. The rich from the poor. Good symbolism there. Okay, the good noun phrase. Nampak simple tapi you can say the rich from the poor, or you can say from the rich people and poor people. Tapi tak sophisticated. But the rich from the poor is very sophisticated. Dia gunakan universal article reference. This is good. This is high level, yeah. The presence, again, noun phrase and invention of currency. Nampak? Dia guna noun phrase banyak. Has pro and cons. It can be a reason of person strives quite tinggi. Blah blah blah. Divulge into corruption. The money should always be spent wisely. Okay. Ni remember tu cakap apa tadi? Yang ada thesis statement, introduction. Okay. Let me highlight the thesis statement here. Kenapa dia dapat 5? Sebab dia ada structure tu. Ni intro tau, kita tengok intro So money should be spent. Ni spend on beneficial. So ni adalah thesis statement, TS. Thesis statement budak ni untuk that essay. Maksudnya teacher akan cover, cikgu faham, pemeriksa akan faham, oh budak ni nak cover, so despite apa dia cover tadi tu, money penting semua. So jadi money ni kena digunakan dengan wisely and for beneficial purposes. So apa yang nak cakap lepas pada introduction ni adalah cara money digunakan wisely and in a beneficial way. Nampak? So that is thesis statement. So lepas ni you buat introduction, pastikan ada thesis statement. Okay, maybe I think maybe you can take 1 PDPR lessons or 1 or 2 lessons. Practice on this saja. Buat intro saja. Buat solid intro. You minta your teachers can give many topics. Bagi 5 topics, okay? So you practice on intro saja. Pastikan a good intro should have general statement, should have writing hook. Writing hook mean you pelbagaikan cara you buat introduction. Maybe you can start with questions, you can start with, kalau tadi ni dia start macam statement tau. Over the years money has become, saban hari money, duit telah menjadi satu kegilaan ataupun satu kepentingan hidup kita. So dia buat macam statement. But you can also start with question. Do you know money has become, because you call the question. Or you can use statistics. Okay, boleh fakta. You can say that 90% of Malaysians or of global citizens have used money in from 2000. So you gunakan something yang menampakkan you lain daripada orang lain. Itu adalah writing hook, and writing hook sangat penting untuk CA. Okay, CA. Tapi kena sustain lah. Janganlah you buat intro wow, masuk body content pun dah lemau balik lah because tak solid your burger tu tadi. So jaga so kena jaga either or. Nak dapat makan tinggi kena jaga semua tu. Okay, so thesis statement kena ada. Alright, so maybe you boleh buat latihan ni dengan your teachers soon. Practice to make sure that your introduction kemah. Sedap baca. Best. So this one, actually kalau you buat macam ni, you buat macam teacher cover just now, it's actually not for part tu saja. You dah mencapai band 5 actually untuk part 3, which is good. Ya, cuma you kena tukar olah kepada genre dia saja. Kalau review, tukar kepada review. Itu saja. Tapi teknik you dah ada. Teknik yang penting. The most important thing is technique. The moment you grasp the techniques, you are able to answer any type of questions given. Yeah, right. So that's TS. Now let's look at the paragraph. Satu lagi yang teacher nak sebut is language. Okay, kalau you nak dapat markah a good band, not markah tinggi lah, good band, you should be able, sekejap saya guna colour ni. Okay, you should be able to use complex tenses. What I mean by complex tenses is you should not just use simple present tense and simple present tense. Itu basic. tu band 3 ke bawah. Okay, however kalau you nak play the game, nak step up the game, nak dapat band 5, you kena step up the way you use your tenses as well. So you kena guna simple present tense, simple past tense, past or present perfect tense. Perfect tense kena pernah guna. Okay, perfect tense, past or present. So you should be able to write the money has become. I have interviewed. Kena guna lah tu, kena pandai. And bila you nak guna, you kena faham concept tenses. So kemahkan tenses. And number 3, lepas perfect you kena guna progressive tenses, continuous tenses kena guna juga. Okay, sebab ada ayat yang memerlukan you nak cover dulu dia famous, sekarang famous and coming years pun famous lagi. So you kena guna continuous progressive tenses. Nampak? Bila you campur 3 benda tu untuk language, insyaAllah your marks untuk L akan naik sikit. Tapi dengan syarat kena guna dengan betul. Okay? So that's the criteria for you to score for language. Kena ada tu. I repeat. Simple present tense, simple past tense, basic kena ada. Perfect tenses, present perfect, past perfect kena ada. And progressive tenses. Okay? Past progressive, present progressive kena ada. Atau continuous. Bila juga continuous sama juga maksud dia. 3 benda tu. Gunakan secara efektif and correct dalam your essays. Right? Boleh? Right. Panjang benar kita tengok pada one macam tu. Okay, let's look at burger number 1. Teacher detail sikit ni supaya you nampak the criteria kenapa dia dapat full mark. Kenapa tak dapat full mark and kenapa dapat full mark. Okay, let's look at the burger number 1. This is burger number 1, right? Body paragraph kan? Okay, tadi ni intro je. So kita tengok burger number 1. Okay, I told you untuk burger number 1 syarat dia kena ada topic sentence, main idea. Right, so let's look at apa dia topic sentence dalam ni. Ni pun kena practice ni. Okay, tapi basically topic sentence tak sesusah lah. Tak sesusah thesis statement. Okay, topic sentence. Even me pun kalau waktu teacher buat essay dandang now kan, I will 10. Kalau teacher try, teacher akan hilang thesis statement tu. So it's really advanced skill lah. Tapi kalau you ada memang good. It will help you to excel in the university years as well. Right, I prefer, remember the bullet point pertama, my hobby kan. I prefer to spend, my money. I prefer to spend my money on stationeries and revision books. I also spend my money on novels and storybook at least blah 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 blah. Okay, so here, topic sentence dia untuk money is this one. Sorry. Cepat guna highlighter. This is a topic sentence. Okay, topic sentence dia untuk revision books. Nampak? So dia menjawab soalan bullet points. How do you spend your money? I spend on stationeries and books. Kan? Kemudian dia tambah lagi. I also spend. Tambah kat sini. And nampak dia gunakan, now dia guna at least. Dia cuba nak build up the argument dalam dalam burger tu. Dia guna at least. This thing I can afford for now. In the future. Nampak? Dia tambah lagi. So this is how dia build up the burger tu. Ni yang kita tengok ni. Remember burger kena ada banyak barang, banyak bahan-bahan ciri dia. So this one kan supporting sentence 1, so dia develop that one. Jangan terlalu make it simple. Try to be a bit, build up your arguments from there. Okay? Alright, so dia guna vocab. Tengok vocab dia guna pun I have accomplished perfect present. Okay? Present perfect, have entered the job. Nampak? Okay, I would like to fulfill my dream of blah blah blah. Hi, I have always had. Nampak? So a combo of good stuff here. Okay, that's why dia dapat 5 and 5 for all things. So kalau tengok pada sini, budak ni yang tulis ni dia sempat check dia punya essay before dia hantar pada cikgu dia, examiner dia. So maksudnya you kena buat like that as well. Baru your errors akan minimize. Kalau you write without checking your errors, I'm afraid kalau hotline maybe C, A, O kemah tapi L pun tak kemah. Sayang juga maka. Okay. So sometimes it's not that you don't know. You just don't have time to check, or maybe you feel like penat dah kita tulis. Letak maka send. Okay, tak memikir kan. So know that when you do that, you have there are risks to it. Okay, ada cabaran dia lah, ada risiko dia. So kalau boleh tak ambil risiko. We sayang our mark. So try to minimize the errors at all costs. Yeah. Alright. So lagi, okay, this one ada dalam module gini. Kita dah terang panjang about part 2. I want you to try and do part 3 when you have time. Ke semua dah siap dah? Dah siap dah ke part 3? Yang dalam module ni? Tak? Ada siapa buat tak? Did anybody manage to finish this? No? Ke tak sempat tengok? Sebab maybe you have other...
No
Not
teacher.
yet.
No,
teacher.
teacher.
Okay, it's okay. Kalau you haven't done that, it's okay. I think you have understood whatever we have discussed just now, right? So use practice 3 yang music tu sebagai how to say practice untuk you tengok faham tak apa kita buat malam ni. Okay, so you gunakan sebagai practice. So teacher dah beri, actually kejap, let me stop presenting here and let me share you the Word document. Mana tadi Word document? Okay, so this is the ni, right? So let me make it. Alright, so this one kita dah buat, this one dah ada, dah settle. Okay, this one you ignore je lah, hanya letak sahaja sebagai syarat. Okay, if you look at this, sample number 1, I actually give you task D. Task D ni, teacher beri smaller, okay. So task D ni dia every perenggan, ni part 2 tau. Every perenggan yang teacher beri ni dia ada kesalahan yang berbeza-beza. For example, paragraph 1 and 2 I focus on L. Okay, and then task E ni teacher fokus pada sentence structure and let me tukar colour. Okay, I give you different kesalahan lah untuk awak belajar. Okay, so number L untuk paragraph 1, 2, number 3 I give you about sentence structure 3 and 4, and task F ni teacher bagi untuk vocabulary. Okay, vocabulary. So I need you to do this supaya you boleh tengok lah nampak tak appropriate words. So bila teacher kata appropriate words, what I want you to do is try to use words yang B2 ke atas. So for example, in years to come I might have lesser time for my you can say hobby here. For my hobby as I have more commitments. But what is the word that, atau what are the phrases that can you replace with hobby? Can you think of it? Yeah? To apa? So after to kena guna grammar yang betul, root word kalau nak guna verb here. So you ni lah. So your marker akan bergantung kepada apa jawapan you guys kat sini. Okay? So of course lah dia akan ikut daripada atas ni, tapi at least kalau ramai yang guna word basic kat sini mengganggu marker juga. So you have to be careful on that. Okay, so sikit je, satu perenggan je, but I think you should be able to practice on that. Saya nak bagi nampak betapa you nampak how important it is to make sure that lexis used in the types are at B2 level and above. Okay, harap awak faham tu Right, this one the kesalahan that I give here I already underlined for you guys. So it would be really helpful if you do exactly like PT3. I think grammar knowledge is very, very important. You have to be able to identify the grammar errors. For example, kalau ni salah, kenapa dia salah? And apa jenis kesalahan tersebut? Because that you will be more aware of the errors. So jangan sampai you tahu salah but you don't know the reason. That's not good enough. Know the reason so that you will not repeat it again in your next piece of writing. Yeah. So kalau boleh you try to be able to, nampak I was a children, nampak macam simple je tapi salah because plural singular as a VA punya ni. Okay, so everyone is infinite pronoun. So bila infinite pronoun you kena guna sorry ni everyone indefinite pronoun tapi dia salah guna ni anyone, everyone, so nobody macam tu. Okay, so yes, okay, nak tengok juga dia punya tenses. Nak guna present tense ke nak guna past tense? Can I mix? Yes, you can. In fact, I recommend you to mix present tense and past tense. You try to interchangeably use them. The moment you are able to interchangeably use them, contoh sekejap you buat ayat past tense to refer to the past, and then you back to the present, and then you probably do flashback again in a very effective way. That shows you have a very nice and very excellent command of English. Therefore, you will be in band 4 and 5. Kalau betul penggunaan dia. Tapi kalau you don't mind, you takut cikgu kata kalau nak guna ayat fakta kena guna present tense yang dia guna. No, it's not. Tu cara selamat yang kita ajar pada semua students. Tapi kalau you nak dapat lebih pada yang you nak excel, nak dapat excellent marks, you should be able to go beyond that. You should be able to alternate the tenses. Yeah? Iaitu yang tadilah, yang 3 tu. Basic, simple, past, present, and then perfect, and then progressive. Okay, so you do that. So buatlah ni. And then, okay, this one Martian. Martian pun, I plan to do this as well. Ni untuk review, but kalau you nampak kat sini teacher cuba combine. The way I structure this exercise is I want to focus, since kita alang-alang kita review tu, kita kau-kaukan your reading, gap text, ramai yang tak score last time, okay, gap text, yang invention of bicycle tu, and then you also do diction ataupun lexis. So yang kuning ni adalah word yang A2, A1 word yang you should change into B2 and above. So for example, kalau you nampak, the Martian tells the story of Mark Watney, an astronaut on the Ares 3 mission, blah, 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 blah. The crew of his ship think he is dead. So what's the better word for think? Can you come up with maybe the crew of his ship, bukan tukar tenses tau. You can say thought, boleh, tapi tu tak membantu pun. Cik nak sekarang you guna vocab yang lagi tinggi. Okay, you can say the crew of the ship believes, or you can say adalah word yang you boleh cari kan. So try to come up with your own. Ni kalau boleh buat sendiri. You can bincang of course, but try to challenge yourself. Tengok ability yourself kat mana. Kalau you rasa mencabar exercise ni, maksudnya you kurang vocab. Okay? Kalau you rasa that, oh, this is so difficult for me, I think this is like the most difficult exercise of all. So that means you are lack of lower lexis of vocabulary. So cara dia banyakkan membaca, banyakkan practice, ya. And then okay, this one you boleh buat lah. Lastly, okay, what is the better word for lastly? The book is interesting. Apa lagi adjective yang lebih baik pada interesting? I highly advise. Okay, is there any better word recommend ke apa ke kan? Clever. Look at the clever person. So clever, clever tu adjective yang sangat biasa. She is clever. So is there any more adjective better that is better than clever? Maybe you can say she's a bright, she's a insanely terrific, genius person ke. So you can play around with the phrases and the verb. Dia remember ada banyak cara boleh paraphrase, you boleh guna word to word punya synonym. Thesaurus, thesaurus, pergi thesaurus. Jadi so teacher bagi nota sikit. Okay, nampak kenapa nak guna common lexis? It is because of this. Okay, jap teacher highlight. Okay, it is because of this. Because the use of common lexis shows that you are mature in your writing and therefore indicates you have the higher ability or wide range of vocabulary. Maksudnya kalau you guna benda ni menunjukkan awak matang dalam penulisan and therefore you deserve a good pen. Yeah, so simple. Okay, so we assess you based on what you gave us. Okay, kalau awak bagi benda simple, kita bagi markah simple lah. Kalau you bagi markah yang, you bagi teks yang well produced, well written, kita bagi markah tinggi, tak ada masalah. Itu saja. So you kena jaga C, A, O and L. And we already discussed, kita dah discuss kan, apa tu, elemen-elemen dalam setiap C, A, O, L semua tu. Okay, alright. So this one you boleh isikan. Okay, ni banyak lagi. Actually saya tahu I will not sempat pun to do this, but teacher letak dalam modul ni supaya you boleh buat dengan your teachers kat school nanti. Okay, so ni adalah teknik untuk story. Kita ada plot diagram, and this is how you by key C, A, O and L. Nampak? Yang garis ni you have to change. Okay, change to a better words, to a better descriptive words. Sebab kita buat story kan. I went to a college. You pergi college. Can you tell me how you went to the college? Did you walk? How did you walk? Nampak? It was a summer morning. Describe that morning. Try to put in a lot of show don't tell words. So try to bunyi burung ke. It was a humid ataupun scorching summer morning. Where buat sikit ceritakan biar you bila I can feel the morning tu when I read your essay. And then when I went to the college, did you drove to your college? Did you drive to your college? Did you saunter, amble? Banyak cara nak berjalan kan, ataupun kalau you cycle apa benda. Okay, so did you so walking itself banyak so you have to know this. The vocabulary juga tu. I put my mobile. Put, letak, very simple word. Change the put. How did you put it? Did you shove it? Did you tuck it? Banyak cara kan nak put kan? I put the mobile phone on the table. Did you place it? Place you tak dengan beradu. Did you tak you selit? So banyak cara tu. So you have to use the correct vocabulary. So this is what we call B2 vocabulary, descriptive words. So you kena master ni. Nanti your teacher boleh bagi a list of vocab lah untuk baiki your story ya. So this one pun sama. Okay, this one pun teacher buat sama juga tapi fokus pada cohesive devices. So I want to see whether you are able to use correct cohesive devices or not. So ni adalah contoh cohesive devices yang pelbagai. Nampak simple je kan? Tapi actually the fungsi is different. At the same time, to show progress in an event, and then however to show contrast of ideas, soon to show connection of event one, sequence of events, although contrast later, sequential events, most important to show emphasis. So nampak? So those are ni sebab essay ni pasal event, so dia kena guna gini lah kalau dia buat fakta lain sikit. Okay, so yang kuning ni again you ganti dengan better vocabulary. Nampak tak teacher tekankan vocabulary malam ni ya. So rewrite the paragraph with the variety of sentence types. Okay, nampak tak? Kalau you nampak kat sini, if you look at this sample, dia start dengan I kan. I walked, bosan lah I semua. I ask, same style je. We pronouns lagi walaupun bukan I tapi pronouns kan. Banyaklah I. Ni pun I yang lepas pada connectors tu. So try not to do this in any type of written essays. Okay, try not to repeat the same style. Style and structure, they are different. Structure, they are the simple, compound, complex, So structure. Okay. However, style, types ni dia jenis. Macam mana you start dengan your ayat tu? Is it pronoun saja? Is it noun phrase? So, for example, I went to the car. I went to the car. I unlocked my car. I drove home. I arrived home. So sama je kan? Tapi you start dengan I. Ataupun I went to the car and I drove home. After a while I reached home. Ataupun I safely arrived. So tak ada beza banyak sebab you tambah semua I. Cuba tukar sikit style. You can say that I went to the car before I unlock it using my keys. Kita tambah sikit kan, the keys. After a while, after so much effort trying to unlock it, okay, dapat you tambah after dah, bukan you tambah how to say, you are adding transition words, transition phrases. Ni adalah sentence type. Okay. Teacher nak pergi pada sentence type pun panjang lagi cerita dia. Okay, banyak lagi cerita dia. So I hope you can have a look in this. You can Google je. Notes on sentence type. Nanti you akan nampak. Okay, macam mana nak build. Okay, this one I nak pergi pada writing ni memang banyak nak cakap ni. Okay, so you know me. Dah cakap tak ada nak berhenti. Okay, so this one we can kalau you have time you can do this with the teacher. Tapi buat practice ni, it will be helpful for you guys. Memang teacher saja bagi banyak lah supaya you boleh buat. Okay, alright, so ni buat nanti. Okay, let me stop sharing. Saya nak pergi sikit lagi pada your slide. So far okay ke? Sorry ya, teacher cakap banyak sikit malam ni. Nak kerja masa. Tadi dah makan masa, awak dah ambil yang jawab call tadi tu. Anybody sleepy?
No.
So sorry ya, you had to sacrifice your night time for this. Alright, so these are the one that ni. Tapi let me show you examples dulu. Okay, teacher nak you baca je. Okay, cuba baca impacts of overall writing. Remember I told you the connection between errors and CA and O? Okay, that one. Ni lah. Okay, too many errors. Let me make. Okay. How will the errors here influence your mark? Nampak sini kesalahan grammar kan? Okay, too many errors will make your reading less smooth as the examiners need to pause and reread some sentences for clarity. So bila you ada banyak error, dalam setiap line tu ada 2-3, tak ada pun ni clear satu. Tapi ada banyak balik dah. Lebat kan? Okay, the moment you have lebat punya errors, it will disturb the clarity of a paragraph, coherence tu. The more your examiner have to stop and reread, the lower the impression of CA is. Okay, so that's why you kena jaga language tu supaya CA you pun comel. Yeah, alright. So ni kesalahan yang kita tengok tadi tu masa dalam I give you slide tadi kan. So dia buat belakang kat sini, nampak tak? So remember I told you tu ada kesalahan yang COVID-19 stage 4. So the moment you do this, memang ganggu dah CA awak. So try to avoid that one. Yeah. So sentence. Okay, satu lagi yang I notice kalau my students lah, dia buat message kan. Dia musim-musim PDPR ni dia banyak testing. So they are confused between capital I think your students tak ada kod. I can tak ada kod. I kecil, I besar, confused. Never use this, people. This is wrong. The moment you nak guna I, it's always like this. Walaupun dia duduk depan, belakang, kiri, kanan, atas, bawah. Okay, I. Okay, jangan guna I kecil gini. I can walaupun dah tengah ayat. No, it's I like this. So remember, untuk Form 4 and Form 5 SPM 2021, spelling or punctuation is one of the aspects yang yang memang dinyatakan dalam curriculum spec. Okay, curriculum specifications. Therefore, bila dia dah ada dalam curriculum spec, it's under 4.2 I think, kalau tak silap. Okay, check balik nanti dalam DSKP. Tapi the moment dia dah ada dalam curriculum spec, maksudnya dia akan diuji dalam exam sebenar, which is SPM. So kalau you buat gini, you main-main, you ambil level, you're not chutney with your punctuation, simple comma, nokta, you main-main dengan gitu. Unfortunately, that is considered as grammar errors, and grammar error yang agak kronik lah. So therefore, jangan ambil level, ambil enteng about your punctuation. Punctuation jaga. Yeah? Especially proper nouns, especially kalau you buat dialog, kalau dalam story kan. Pastikan betul cara you buka dialog. And then, kan, contoh you buat question. Okay, lepas question ni nak guna kecil ke besar? Si kecil ke si besar? Kena tahu tu. Itu the basic thing. Kita markah juga tu sayang Alright, apa lagi? Okay, this one is the sentence structure. Okay, sentence structure you buat nanti dalam modul you, gunakan teacher nak recommend you guna different highlighters. So kita ada simple, compound, complex, compound, complex. 4 jenis sentence structures. Okay, so gunakan 4 color highlighter. Maybe one pink, one blue, green, orange ke, gunakan 4. And then highlight the sentence tu. Kalau you rasa now teacher guna complex sentence, untuk kuning. So kalau you nampak kuning lagi dalam perangan 2 ni, buat kuning lagi. Kalau nampak complex, okay? So kalau you nampak simple, you guna color lain. So that nanti, why we are doing this, nanti bila you dah highlight your essay, you'll see that, okay, my essays are colourful. That's why, mana tadi? Nanti ada dalam teacher punya modul tadi kan. That's why we encourage students untuk dapat band 5 part 3, you kena guna a variety of sentence structure. Sebab bila you guna complex ataupun simple, tiada variety, your essay will become so monotonous, so dull, so boring. Kita nak tu. Cara nak break the monotony, break the boringness tu is dengan cara you layerkan sentence, gunakan different sentence structure. Simple, complex, compound, simple balik. Tak apalah. Tak semesti guna simple tu masuk makan rendah. No, kita nak tengok you pelbagaikan. Pelbagaikan maksudnya you layer. Jangan repeat. Jangan ingat gini. Oh, ni channel acoustic kena guna compound complex. Okay, so you buat compound complex. Semua compound complex. Sekala je. So kalau you buat color tu, sekala je tu bosan tu. Tak ada color, tak ada variety. We want different colors. We want colourful essays. Colourful burgers. Okay, little burgers. So kalau this one, kan kalau you tengok ni, dia guna 3 jenis. So kalau nanti you buat, teacher nak buat kan, I want you to do this. Sebab nak tengok you faham tak sentence structure. Kalau you buat kelawak, nanti bagi jawapan free lah. So you do this, kita bagi contoh. Kan? So kalau you rasa susah latihan ni, maksudnya your pemahaman for sentence structure is not quite good enough. So you kena faham apa tu independent clause, what are dependent clauses, macam mana nak tahu criteria complex sentences, what are subordinate conjunction. Benda ni sangat critical. Okay, ni benda ni dia technical sikit, dia grammar sikit, but it's worth knowing. Sebab it will help you in the spoken paper nanti. Speaking paper dia sangat, spoken interaction memang sangat membantu kalau awak tahu benda ni. That's why teacher tekankan malam ni sangat berguna untuk paper speaking. Yeah, so you make sure you tallykan lah. Whatever I encourage you to do this, apply dalam paper speaking juga. Right, so ni adalah explanation teacher. Okay, right, so you can do this. Look at the words used. Dia nampak words tu dia agak tinggi So teacher guna peculiar, kan? Let me underline. Okay, so guna peculiar. I use slow paced songs. So they are adjectives that melancholic rhythms. Okay, turns, frowns, ups, down. So there is idiom. Magical impulse. So this is like high vocab. Remember, we want to target band 5 for part 3 as well. So gunakan vocab yang ni. So I use punctuation, hyphen ni untuk budak advance lah. Kalau you tak pandai jangan guna. Okay, guna semicolon ke, kan. So you baca ni boleh buat. Okay, another exercise for you. You can highlight ataupun identify topic sentences juga. Tengok topic sentence dia. Okay, alright, so this one yang tadi. Okay, macam tak yalah. So kita pergi sikit pada Now it's 10:24. Before I open to the Q&A, teacher pergi sikit secara generally untuk this one. Actually, this one, this is the note that I do it for my students, but I think it's worth sharing with you guys as well because all of you are going to see it for SPM anyways. So I have sort of like buat summary lah, okay? Summary untuk benda yang you kena ada untuk part 2 and part 3. Sorry, ini part 3. Kita masuk part 3 dah. Okay? So for those of you yang suka buat story, okay, story ni kan, so benda ni yang kena ada. Especially this one, show don't tell, kena ada. Sorry. Let me use highlighter lah. Okay, so you can use dialogue ni teknik. Okay, you can use show don't tell, kan, descriptive words, effective punctuation. So boleh benda ni. Okay, benda plot writing mesti comel. Plot writing must be well developed. Okay, how to well develop? Gunakan balik burger tadi. Dah ada his questions and all. Sentence start. Dia sebenarnya benda ni pusing-pusing kot, benda sama je. Okay, so teknik dia yang penting. So you must practice with that. Narrative. So bila narrative you kena pandai lah tukarkan, play around with the tenses tu juga. Okay, but for report, report ni dia agak formal tau. So make sure you use a lot of passive structure. Okay, gunakan a lot of passive structure, ayat pasif. Apa ni contohnya nak kata, bukan isu dia? Time management kan. Ramai orang tidak pandai membagi masa kan, ramai orang. Okay, orang ramai tu letak kat belakang. Okay, so dia tukar dia punya structure tu. Okay, so contoh kata people nowadays do not know how to manage time. Tukar ayat dia, time management is a problem for many people or for most people. That's how you should sound. Lagi markah tinggi begitu. So pasifkan ayat dia. Okay, ataupun dia nak kata ramai orang terdedah dengan COVID-19. Okay, orang awam terdedah kepada risiko dijangkiti COVID-19. So tukarkan pada ayat pasif iaitu okay, you letak risiko tu in front and orang ramai kat belakang. So that's how you structure for your report. Okay, and then apa lagi? Of course lah, we write sentence structure, excellent punctuations, add vocabulary. Add vocabulary means vocabulary precise tadi. Yang B1, B2. Okay, B1, B2 vocab tadi tu lah. Cohesive devices, gunakan semuanya. Review, you must use persuasive sikit dalam your towards the end tu. You kena, sebab you want to recommend kan, you want to rate the movie kan, the book ke ataupun the apps that you are reviewing. So make sure you ada a bit of persuasiveness towards the end. So this one I think you can refer to Full Blast textbook page 88 to 91. Kalau dah siap teacher yang ada olah-bola tu, you can refer to that. That is a good. There are few sentence structure yang agak bagus untuk CA. Boleh tengok kalau dia cerita horror macam ni, cerita suspense macam ni, cerita sedih macam ni, sediakan tisu ke apa. So those are the good vocabs that you can use. Alright, so I think that's about it. I hope kita banyak pada input lah malam ni. Sebab nak menulis ramai-ramai, benda sama je ni. Nak menulis tu dia dah jadi lebih lah. Okay, so, tapi my focus tonight is part 2. Memang teacher nak you guys faham part 2 so that bila you faham the technique, you will be able to transfer the techniques to part to part 3 as well. Okay, part 3 definitely going to be there. Okay, jap. Apa lagi tak tunjuk? Soalan tak? Do you have any questions? I can, kalau ada boleh tulis dekat apa tu? Ni yang Martian tadi. Okay, so you can have a look at this. Okay, Martian yang kita explain. So that is example for book review. Okay, book review. Remember kalau you nampak example tadi, I give you 5 paragraph. I know some samples that you read from buku workbook yang you beli from SMO, PSI, dia bagi 3-4 perenggan kan untuk review. Okay, again, this is no right or wrong. Okay, this is like open for debate to you guys. Kalau you nak buat perenggan, terserah. But for me, I'm going to apply hamburger technique to part 3 to review. Therefore, like we explained just now, like we discussed just now, hamburger technique, intro, conclusion wajib ada. So 3 isi kat tengah. So therefore I have 5 perenggan. So the way you organize your perenggan is up to you. However, yang penting your content tu kena solid. Okay, kena ada tesis semua tu. As long as you apply those, should be fine. Yeah. So kalau you nampak my review dalam modul tu, dia ada 5 perenggan. Okay. Tapi teacher punya recommended style, but you can go with the 4 perenggan as well. However, if they are solid, they are like well developed, should be fine. Okay, and then you kena tepati lah ciri-ciri C, C, A, O, N, L tu. Right, so I think pergi ni band criteria dia. Okay, this one lah. Kalau you nak dapat markah tinggi untuk part 3, ni part 3 ya. So you must have this one. Okay, well, coherence, generally with good effect. Good effect. Dia memang kena efektif. Kalau salah dia tak boleh dah. Okay, and then apa tu tadi? Target reader, fulfilling all communicative purposes with ease. Okay, with ease. Tak ada, dia kena ada sophisticated dah. Ni. Hold the target reader's attention. Nampak? Kalau tadi untuk ni yang tadi kita tengok tadi. Ni yang part 2 band 5. Dia duduk kat sini, jatuh pada band 3 dah kalau masuk part 3. Okay, so kalau you nampak, that's why I told you tadi, hold target reader attention. Yang ni tak ada tau kat sini. Part 3 tadi. Maksudnya kan, remember I told you CA 3 layer kan? 3 benda, hot hujung sekali, hot bawah sekali tu adalah untuk budak advance. Ni lah, band 5. 2 secret to get band 5 for part 3. That is to hold the target reader attention. How? To use style, sophisticatedness. Okay, how to do that? Untuk part 2 gunakan writing hook. Gunakan pelbagai yang sentence types. Okay, jangan guna I semua. Jangan guna vocabulary yang A1 ke bawah, A2 ke bawah. Okay, so those are the style. Dia akan build the cumulative effect to your writing. Yeah. Okay, so I will take question for now. Mana tahu daripada question awak tu kita boleh tengok jawab beberapa soalan lagi. Kalau you have question, let me have a look at it. So kita ada question lagi. So any verbal question if you want to ask? I hope I've covered your question on how to score. Sudah cover teknik-teknik to score. And if you do the module, insyaAllah you will have a better understanding of how to get better bands for written as well as spoken. Okay, I remember I asked you, I cover tadi nak share pasal teknik pengiraan, right? So let me do that while we have few more minutes. Sekejap Kalau ada soalan boleh tulis teacher tak jawab lagi. Sekejap. Okay, sorry. Okay, right. Okay, sorry. So this is the notes, the slide that I did with my students as well, the camp that we had previously. So this is markah TOV. Betul, you have 2 paper. You set for 2 papers, which were reading and writing. So 2 saja. So pemarkahan dia adalah 50-50, right? So besar lah dia punya weightage tu. So kalau you perform dalam written paper, dah cover dah separuh markah daripada your overall grade. Therefore, kalau you dapat 42 pun, dapat 42 saja markah bawah ni, you dah dapat 35 markah dah. And then kalau score 32 per 40 dalam writing paper, reading paper, you will get 40. Campur 2 ni, you dah dapat A- dah. It was easy, isn't it? And I believe because of from the questionnaire that you answered, I noticed that a lot of you are at A- level. Okay, you dah ada dalam lingkungan 70 hingga 78, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so there are a few A solid and then a few Bs. Okay, but generally those of you yang answer dalam 40 people yang jawab tu, memang you dalam tanggungan A lah, A-. Okay, now what if I were to use this mark, the one that you score masa TOV untuk mid-year bulan 8 ni. So kalau teacher transfer markah awak untuk yang you dapat bawah ni ke mid-year kita ada 4 papers. Okay, so now the weightage is already 25%. Yeah, so the kecil sikit dah. So kalau you dapat 40 macam tadi and 60 macam tadi, okay, ni adalah dia punya pemarkahan ya. Okay, alright. So kalau you dapat markah macam tadi, kalau tadi 40 marks, so now baru you dapat 23 markah. Maksudnya kalau tadi TOV sebab dia 50%, so you dapat 40 markah dari sini. So orang kata kalau nak luluh tu dah payah ambil dah paper writing, boleh luluh dah. Kalau you nak jawab paper writing pun tidur pun, kata-kata kosong untuk writing, you still dapat lulus E untuk TOV baru ni sebab dia weightage dia 50%, 2 kertas. However, for mid-year trial and SPM sebenar, dia dah kecilkan jadi 21.3 mark. So kalau you dapat 32 pun, salah 8 je pun dalam paper reading, baru 21 mark. Try ni baru. Kan? So dapat paper 2 pula dapat tinggi dah ni. 42 dia tinggi dah. Maknanya you score dah part 1 tu. Email tu you score dah. So you score 42/60 baru 60.7 markah. Kan? So 21.3 plus okay, dah tambah dah. Okay, sorry. Dah tambah dengan 16.7 kan. Okay, so dapat dah sini. So X and Y kita tak tahu lagi because it's going to be assessed later. So depending on how prepared you are, that's your mark. Okay. However, I want to highlight here that I want to really make a point here that it's over 24 is over the V compared to this one, 60, which means listening and speaking papers will have more expensive marks for each item. So you have to be careful on that so that you will score and not lose mark over these two papers. The more marks you score for speaking and listening, insyaAllah, the more marks you gain here. Sebab dia punya markah mahal, sebab item dia sikit. Item dia sikit, markah sikit. Jadi kalau X ni dapat 18, besar ni, 18 ni. Macam besar lah lagi pada this one. So it will help you here lah. Nampak? Compare dua ni, tak lulus pun lagi, baru 38. See the difference? Kalau tadi take over A minus, you bawa markah take over you ke mid-year, tak lulus pun you, 38 je. Okay, so be careful lah. This is my warning to you guys lah. So not warning lah. I just want to raise awareness so that you are aware of the importance, how important speaking and listening papers are. So be prepared. Do a lot of practices with the speaking, spoken utterances and listening. Make sure your grammar is mantap. Okay, so baiki kesalahan grammar and practice makes perfect. But make sure you practice the right thing. Yeah. So maksudnya kalau you dah tahu kriteria yang dapat markah tinggi, so kemaskan je lah supaya you boleh improve over time. Kan? So don't worry. Don't. I think it's important to know, but don't be demotivated if you score. Katalah kalau bawa nanti mid-year you dapat daripada A minus you jatuh pada C, for example. Don't be sad. Don't be sad lah sikit, of course lah, kita akan sad sebab kita target kita jatuh kan. However, it's important to do analysis of why you got such mark. Kenapa awak dapat C? Kat mana silap dia? Apa yang I buat dekat spoken yang dapat begini? Ataupun apa kalau part 1 tu, kalau paper 1, reading and use of English tu, okay, I always train my students to do item analysis. Item analysis means you go part by part. Teacher memang kalau lepas exam je, teacher akan ambil sebulan kan masa nak go through one by one dengan budak teacher. Macam maksudnya, I will go item by item. So kalau macam Ali, Siti, Chong, Siva and Kamal, 5 orang. Teacher buat conference dengan 5 orang tu. Teacher akan pastikan 5 orang ni, teacher akan tengok setiap daripada paper tu, for the reading tu, I will go one by one. Contohnya Kamal, 5 orang ni pun untuk markah untuk gap text berapa. Kenapa dapat 415? Kenapa? I will go one by one. So you can do that as well with your teachers. It will take time. However, it will be worth the effort. Penat sebenarnya buat macam tu, tapi that's the beauty of it lah. You akan dapat input yang memang sangat specific. And you know your weaknesses so that you will improve. You akan tahu strong points you kat mana and weaknesses you kat mana. And then you akan fokus pada weaknesses supaya dia jadi strong points juga. And then yang strong point you akan maintain. Alright, okay, so I hope it makes sense to you guys. So good luck to all of you for the mid-year. Dah boleh start prepare dah. Right, so if you have any questions, you can ask. Okay, I have a question here. Teacher, would a boring storyline for part 3 affect the marks even though the LO are good? Okay, alright, will affect boringness will go under CA. Maknanya monotonous. So therefore, CA kalau dia boring, dia akan affect 5, dia per 5 je kan? Kan 5, right? So kalau dia terlalu boring, so but your organization and L are good, so technically you akan hilang 5 tu je. Dia akan minus 5. However, kalau CA you dok comel, in a way or another, it will affect organization. Sebabnya, why did I say so? Kalau your CA dok comel, your plot dok develop, okay, that means you lemah cara nak susun cerita, cara nak susun sequence of events, and sequence of events kait rapat dengan coherence kait rapat dengan organization, cohesive devices. Jadi, teacher boleh agak, kalau plot dok comel, satu CA memang confirm affect lah, and satu lagi saya nampak, mungkin budak ni lemah dalam cohesive devices. Nampak? Tu link dia. Okay, so you have to be able to jaga semualah. Tapi try to minimize. Don't worry. Kalau your O dah keming, insyaAllah dia akan affect CH saja. Tapi tendency untuk dia affect another group tu, subkriteria tu agak tinggi. So CA kan maybe jakit sikit dekat O kalau cuai. Okay, so be careful on that. Alright. I hope I answer your question, Izal Munira.
Yes, teacher.
Alright, good. Any more question? You can ask verbally.
Teacher,
Yes.
when we prefer to answer the story question, do you prefer we used to write based on our story, or we create a new story?
Okay, good question. Okay, whether you rely on your own experience or you totally make up a new one, right? Okay, so that's I think there's no right around that. So sometimes when the question come out that come out in the exam is not what you expect, you have to rely on experience, betul tak? Sebab you macam alamak, saya hafal, saya plan nak buat gini, tapi keluar soalan lain, dok kena dengan plan asal yang you nak buat tu. So you have to come up with the backup plans, and usually backup plan will involve planning that based on your own experience. Okay, so in that sense, go with the experience if that helps you. However, to say that you cannot rehearse the structure at all is also not true, because sometimes a good storyteller dia dapat a good short story by reading other story, nampak? Okay, so you boleh tengok contoh sample good, tengok the way the structure the story, the plot dia tengok kemah tak, transition dia, so you can ambil role model from that, tapi you olah dalam bentuk you guys punya your own idea lah, jangan copy sebiji kan. So you olah, ambil rangka tu, masukkan your own, jadikan your own, adopt and adapt maksudnya you buat cerita you sendiri, tambah sikit setting yang lain sikit ke, the way you tambah sensory punya show don't tell punya words ke. But to answer your question, Muhammad je ni, Muhammad sorry, to answer your question dia, yes you can, tak ada masalah, dua-dua boleh. Okay, we will not penalize in terms of originality tu dia subject, dia abstract sikit, tapi kalau biasanya kalau tak original, you menghafal, dia akan nampak tak bila you ada kesalahan. It will be obvious kalau you hafal essay, because the coherence will not be there, the structure pun akan lagi sikit kalau salah satu. Tu ciri-ciri hafal tu, tapi I'm sure you guys can do better than that. Yeah. Okay, any more question?
Teacher.
Yes.
I want to ask some question.
Yes, Ivan.
Can you give us some tips for paper 1, especially
Paper
at
1. Okay. Any
part 3, 4
specific?
and 5.
Part 5 is it?
Part 3, 4 and 5. Part 5. Yang ujung-ujung lah.
Okay. So gap text and part 4 and 5 I believe. So part 4 part 4 is gap text. Part 5 is the matching and note completion. Okay, let me buka buku format sekejap supaya teacher boleh tunjuk. Okay, so it's already here. Okay, so let me tunjukkan this one. Sorry, mana buku format second soon. Right, so you should see the buku format in a moment. Okay, so here is the book format, right? So let's go to the question that your friend Irfan asked. Let's go to reading paper. Okay, this is gap text, right? Okay, this is part 4. Kita nama dia gap text. Okay, gap text ni you have to, there are 6 missing sentences taken out from the story, from each paragraph, and then you have to identify which correct 6 sentences that fit in, right? So these are the answers. So dia kan ada 8, format dia lah kan 8. And then 2 tu distractor, and this distractor memang good ones lah, memang akan menyebabkan confusion. Tip number 1 over here, do not be confused with the sentences ataupun words yang diguna sama. Contoh, for example, kalau you nampak kat sini perenggan ni, okay, perenggan yang select. Okay, kalau you nampak dekat perenggan pink ni, right, dia ada guna perkataan creatively design, for example, ataupun dia bagi compulsory for everyone to participate. Dia ulang ni kan, dia ada perkataan ni. So you nampak dekat pilihan jawapan ada dia ulang. So don't be confident that is the answer. You have to check dulu. Okay, cara terbaik untuk part gap text ni is lah, ada 2 cara, ada satu teknik. Kita panggil teknik kalau ni teknik dia. This is technique that I don't know lah whether it's universal or not, but I come up with for my students. So I always ask them to go immediate versus wider context. Okay, immediate versus wider context. Immediate maksudnya kan, you nampak kosong sini kan, you nampak box sini. Okay, immediate maksudnya ayat sebelum and selepas. Wider context perenggan sebelum dan selepas. So you have to check dua-dua tu. Okay, I repeat, you have to use immediate versus wider tips, techniques. So that means the moment you nampak box here, you have to pay attention to immediate. Immediate maksudnya ayat-ayat sebelum and selepas, before and after. So here, ayat this one, kuning kan? Kalau dia jadi ni pula, dia jadi besar pula. So this one lah, this one. And then this one. So this is wider context. Okay, this is wider context. This one, dia akan jadi this one tadi immediate. This one dia akan jadi wider context. Okay, dia akan jadi wider context yang kita buat ni. So this whole thing here akan jadi wider context. Now, nampak banyak tu nak kena baca dan melibatkan blank ni lain lah, which is true. Okay, the next number 2, after you dah identify that one, sebab begini, pay close attention to cohesive devices as well. Cohesive devices maksudnya kalau dia ada suatu cakap apa tadi, cohesive devices tak penting. There are many types, right? So kalau you nampak but, be careful. Bila you nampak but somewhere dekat immediate punya clue ni, maksudnya ada contrasting opinions. Okay, contrasting opinion macam kan ada positif and negative. So be careful on that. Mungkin yang tengah tu positif, negatif, tengah. So mungkin yang tengah tu dia nak refer kepada positif dulu ataupun nak coming to negative. So you have to be careful on that. So this one you have to be very careful and observant of the use pronouns guna. Dia guna pronoun apa, dia guna cohesive devices apa, dia guna tenses apa. Sometimes kat sini kan, ayat kat sini guna past tense, blank, present tense. So be careful on that as well, because the moment dia berubah tenses, it shows the duration of event berubah. So here you kena tengok ayat yang tertinggal ni adalah nak menunjukkan kesinambungan masa sekarang ke lepas. Nampak? Be careful on that. So those are the techniques lah. To repeat, you kena guna immediate versus wider context untuk gap text, and be careful with the cohesive devices as well as pronouns and tenses use. Okay, pronouns and tenses use. Contoh kalau gini kat sini ni guna we. Kan? Tiba-tiba ada we. Siapa yang nak tahu we ni daripada siapa? Okay, go back to the sentence previously, iaitu immediate context or immediate wider context. Jangan balik dia daripada siapa? We ni orang mana? Tengok jawapan kat sini. Okay, so those are among the banyak lagi nak cari dia, tapi that would need different session lah. Nanti kita boleh ada masa kita tengok that one. Okay, now for this part 5. Okay, part 5 dia memang format dia akan beri topic with 6 different opinions. Okay, 6 different views. So dia tak ada right or wrong, tapi you have to be careful with the way you answer the question. So dia akan minta macam ni. Which paragraph describe the following experience of the community survey? So topic community survey. Okay. So kalau dia membuat A and F like this, dia tulis gini A and F ni, maksudnya you kena bagi nama perenggan. This one saja. Okay. This one saja. Jangan beri nama B Julie or C Hocklim. Salah lah. Sebab dia nak perenggan. Okay. Tapi question akan berubah tau. It's like you know, whether the thing with the assessment is that satu benda kalau kita buat exam, nama pun exam kan, kita nak menguji tahap kefahaman calon-calon. Jadi kita tak akan buat benda yang sama. So kalau dia dah, kalau tahun ni, I don't know lah, wallahu alam lah, tapi kalau you gonna be careful with the instruction, dia akan berubah-ubah. Kalau dia tak minta A and F, jangan beri A and F. Kalau dia minta A and F, dia berilah A and F. For example, cara cara soalan akan jadi macam ni. Which person describes the following experiences? So kalau you nak person, you bagi this one. Nampak? Bagi ni, nama Syah ni, Julie. Tapi spelling tu kena betul lah, janganlah guna word besar semua. Julie J je lah besar. Hocklim H dengan L je lah. Okay, punctuation kena jaga. Emilia A je lah besar, lain tu kecil biasa. Okay, so kena bergantung kepada apa yang soalan nak. Right, so kalau dia nak perenggan, bagi perenggan. Kalau dia nak person, bagi nama orang tu. Kalau dia nak apa lagi, nama kedai. Proper nouns. Tapi kena jaga punctuation. Okay, faham So this one refer kepada soalan. Okay, soalan. Tengok pada soalan. Jangan cuar. Jangan ingat you confident this part. Be careful. Right, okay. Untuk note completion, Again, untuk note completion, you have to use, okay, this one pun bergantung kepada soalan. Sometimes dia nak 1 word, sometimes dia nak 2 words, sometimes nak 3 words. So 3 words and below. So it can change according to instruction. So be careful, kalau dia nak 1 word, pastikan 1 word and that word shouldn't be added with the prefix or suffixes. Maksudnya you tak boleh tambah apa-apa pada word tersebut. Biar dia original macam dalam petikan. So kalau kata complete lah. You jangan tambah completed or tambah completes. No, it should be original word from the text. Okay? So kat sini, kat sini. Jangan reka ambil pada text saja. Boleh ya? Itu teknik untuk part 3. Part 5. Kita panggil notes completion ni. Tapi bergantung kepada sini. Jaga ni. Tengok. Kalau dia nak 2 words, ambil 2 words. Tapi soalan dia, jawapan dia dalam petikan. Ambil original words from here. Jangan ubah the spelling. Okay? Alright. I hope I answered the question. Okay, any more question? Probably last one. Okay, if there's no more, I think I will, I think I'll stop here, I guess. Kalau you have important questions that you think you want to ask me, but we already ended the session, you can always pass the questions to your teachers, and your teachers can always pass to me. I can provide the answers in the medium via your teachers kan, okay nanti. And last but not least, I think you have to be really, really careful with the practice for all paid skills. I think it's really important that you shouldn't be ignoring speaking and listening papers. Okay, be careful on that. I wish you all the best. Right, so inshallah we are going to be in school by the end of July. I hope. Have you guys got vaccinated? Dah cocok belaka ke? Not again.
Not yet, teacher.
Yeah, okay.
yet.
So harap-harapnya soon lah. Okay, Sinovac ke, AstraZeneca ke, Pfizer ke, jangan milih ingat. Janji awak cocok dulu nak pergi sekolah ni. Okay, alright. So all the best to you guys. So whatever good's coming from Allah, whatever's lacking is from my own shortcoming. So minta maaf mana tu kurang, mana yang terlaju-laju tu minta maaf juga. So I hope we learn from one another a thing or two. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Back to you, Sir Faiz.
All right. Thank you very much for the inputs. All the inputs. I hope everyone managed to jot down things. I think most of it are important. Technique. Remember, technique is important because to score in exam, you need techniques. And kalau tulis caca marba ni memang, if no techniques, even though you know that you are good ke apa kan, doesn't necessarily you will score lah. And sometimes we short sendiri je. So that's why we need to know techniques lah. So before we end our session for today, I hope everyone can switch on your camera so that we can take the last screenshot lah. Boleh semua buka kamera?